Moment of silence for Jimmy Carter. Should be longer than a normal moment of silence. The fuck are you laughing at, Matt?
I'm smirking.
Comes back from
'Cause he
vacation
is
and just shits on
He
president.
was 100 years old.
So he doesn't get a moment of
a great
silence?
former president. No, I was being quiet.
Goddamn tragedy. The history teacher here. Laughing at... Listen, here's the craziest part. I just Googled this. Jimmy Carter's favorite football team. Anyone want to guess?
Falcons.
Yes. You knew that.
Well, he's from Georgia.
No, I didn't think about that. And then Sunday night, you think like he's all charged up for the game.
Maybe the Falcons killed him.
No, Falcons didn't kill him. Them taking him outside last summer to watch the eclipse or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That was wild. Rest in peace, Jimmy Carter. Great president. Seemed like a great guy.
Word. I got something random. Can I just say something random before we start?
Off the top.
Did you guys know that club sandwich stands for chicken, lettuce, under bacon?
No
Yeah.
way, dude.
Like,
I knew that.
did you know that?
No, I also don't
I knew
eat
that.
That's blowing my mind.
They're gross.
Oh.
Whatever. Whether they're gross.
Whoa, they're not gross. Club sandwich isn't gross.
A bunch of cold
No.
cuts and mayonnaise. And
Oh, it's great.
Amazing.
That's not gross.
Great.
That's a class. That's a lunchtime staple. What are you talking about?
that's what got Jimmy Carter. Too many club sandwiches.
Club sandwich got him. You got clubbed.
Yeah. You get clubbed out here. But imagine if he'd have just hung on one more day, he would have seen that, like, hey, the Falcons are in good hands.
Or maybe that's what took him out, seeing Kirk Cousins getting benched.
What took him out was the vaccine.
What?
He took the vaccine in the polio vaccine back in 1920. It always, the vaccines always are going to get somebody. 90 years later,
He did take the polio
he took the polio vaccine.
Oh. He did take that polio vax.
I can't believe you, Reed.
Being a sheep catches up with you.
You know?
Hey, where do we start? I mean, we started already with Jimmy Carter. We should
Welcome
start
to the Greenlight Podcast.
welcome to the Greenlight Podcast.
Thanks to BetMGM.
Thank you to BetMGM. And hey, really, thank you to BetMGM. When I signed with BetMGM, they were like, hey, we're going to need you to make a big bet. And I was like, oh, cool. With like y'all's money? Is this like a publicity thing? Like, because I always see guys making a big bet and then they like, you follow along with their bet and all this shit. Like Julian Edelman did this
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
Yeah. Did he win?
No, but I thought it would be like a Brock Purdy Toyota type deal.
Yeah, you
where
won.
it's like, no, but what I'm saying is Brock Purdy didn't pay for those Toyotas. Come on.
Hopefully not.
Not all.
Well, you don't know that.
not
Yeah,
in full.
hopefully not.
That's hate.
That's what I'm
hate.
saying. That's why I think they're leases. I think they're just leases for a year.
But my point is, good, because the resale value on a truck with red interior is not great. Okay, but here's the problem. BetMGM was like, nah, you got to bet your money. And it's got to be like a splash bet. And so I said, hey, I'll take the Eagles to win the East.
Cannonball.
Splash. And there were a couple people in my mentions that day who were like, you're an idiot. No, I'm not. Now I can pay for a whole lot of boats. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out
whatever that
guy that
his
you
name
did.
was. What was his name?
Um,
Damn, I'm getting old. I can't
yeah, I know.
remember.
This is
Can
embarrassing.
you pull that up for the people
Hold
on
on.
the live stream real quick? Because I don't know. Some people that watch our show might not remember this is my best performance.
Stick a fork in them.
Shh. No, it was how am I forgetting the damn Rod Carricker?
Rod Carricker.
That was my alter ego.
Here you
Nolan,
go.
have you ever seen this?
I don't think so.
You haven't seen my best performance? It
The
wasn't at
Lotto?
the Link.
The Lotto.
It wasn't at the Edward Jones Dome. It was the
Me and
Lucky
my old
Seven
lady.
here.
Oh,
And,
Wasn't your NFC East bet for the Eagles? That's a pretty good performance, Chris. It's a good
That was a
bet,
good
man.
performance. I just want to.
I'm happy
we're
for
here.
you.
Since we're here, you can run this back real quick. Or we don't have to.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into The Fumble. I'm Crystal Marie. Rams defensive end Chris Long is making a move to Los Angeles this offseason with the rest of the team. So having some extra cash will come in handy.
I don't know if this
with the
lady
higher
shows
property
the
values
actual
of
interview.
Southern California. Perhaps that's why he chose to play the Powerball, or because $1.5 billion will get you just about anything you want.
But she never
Trucker
plays
hat
the
with his
interview.
Dale Earnhardt
I
mustache.
don't know that she does.
Local news labeled him
I think
as
they
a
scrubbed it
hopeful
from the
Powerball player.
YouTube.
There's some like Virginia associated Twitter account that runs this every year.
once in a while,
And it's,
dude.
my
People
favorite thing.
really like this video. So way
good.
back in the day, in the off season, I was at home, and I was going out to grab some beers, and I went out to grab some beers, and I noticed there was news cameras inside the Lucky 7, and I was like, oh my God, it's the Powerball! Like people are getting interviewed about the lottery and the whole thing. So I go home and I shave a mustache, and I throw on like my Sunday best, including my Levi Garrett hat. And I walk in there, and I walk over to like fumble over some beer, like I'm buying beer, which I am. And the gal's like, "Hey, sir, can we interview you about the Powerball? Are you going to buy some?" I'm like, "Why, yes, I am." Got into my alter ego, and
That is so great.
did you find it?
No,
No. Well,
not
you,
the actual interview.
you can imagine what the interview was like, and then we're going to get into Vikings Packers. I don't even know how we got here.
He told my old lady.
Oh yeah, because I'm going to buy a bunch of boats.
He told my old lady if we win, we're going down to Myrtle Beach for about 10 months, and we're getting a timeshare and the whole 9 yards, maybe a big boat, a couple boats, a lot of boats, and we're gonna have a great time. We're gonna have a great time.
Do you know how true that ended up being about my life and the trajectory of my life? I have like 7 kayaks.
And a
They're all sitting in my dry, and I do have a boat.
You do have
In total, if you count the yaks, I got like 8 boats.
Wow.
That's crazy. And I might have more now. Thank you, BetMGM.
Speaking
Nice job, guys.
into existence.
You know? It was a fucking curveball. Right over the plate, but a curveball. So, BetMGM has made betting easy, as I just mentioned, and seamless all season long. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully, you have been able to pick up some plays from us to use on the BetMGM app. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code GREENLIGHT to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. And just a reminder, BetMGM's got your back with a second chance promotion. All season long, BetMGM is offering you a second chance on your first touchdown bet when you place a wager on a first touchdown bet, score a bet, and he doesn't score first but scores second. BetMGM will return 100% of your stake back in cash. Be sure to take advantage of this offer. And remember, use bonus code GREENLIGHT when you sign up to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Happy hunting. I'm going to go off script here. You can lose when you gamble. Okay? Didn't happen to me yesterday. Didn't happen to me with this Eagles bet, but it happens.
Yep.
Bet responsibly. Bet within your means. And don't bet on the single window games if you're not absolutely sure. Just wait till Sunday where you have options.
I've just gotten into sports betting, Chris. I've been losing nonstop, nonstop. I needed Jordan Love to get half of a yard rushing yesterday, and I would have hit like a $600 parlay. Didn't do it. I sent in the group chat. Ralph just said, "Welcome to the show."
Yeah,
yeah.
I saw that last night. I was like, "That's pretty cool to see you're in, man."
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful in these streets, man. You got to be careful.
Sometimes losing's nice because then you feel something. I need that.
No, I
just feel
actually
alive.
agree with you.
No.
But just not losing too much.
No.
Like a Sunday where it's up and down a little bit every once in a while is okay as long as you come out on top. But you guys just, hey, I'm being the responsible gambling pitch man. It's like anything. Everything in moderation. And just fucking be careful. Watch some film. Get the all 22 out. Watch the teams you're gonna bet. If you don't have time to do that, maybe just do a prop.
Goddamn Panthers.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
keep
all
it
right.
close.
You forgot about Baker Mayfield 2 years ago in a red jersey in a 3-point stance having to do scout team DN for that team. He was going to fucking fillet those guys. It was just, he didn't forget that, dude.
Written in stone. Huh?
You know what I mean? All right, let's start with the big one, and we're going to kind of snake our way through the playoff picture and talk about the games yesterday. We'll be moving in and out of this week, next weekend, speculating on first-round matchups, the whole thing. But, Vikings-Packers was the game of the week. It just was. Now, the best game of the week was Sunday night. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Vikings-Packers was great, and I feel like good for Packers fans because, hey, the Packers are good for Vikings fans, not good for Packers fans. The Packers are a good team. They are a good team. That is a challenging football team to beat. It has been challenging to beat them for Detroit twice. It was challenging for the Eagles to beat them in Brazil. It was challenging at the end of the game in both situations for Minnesota. They're a good football team. They're talented. But Minnesota proved yesterday to a lot of people, and I certainly don't count myself in this group of people that thought, this Minnesota thing is a Cinderella thing where at midnight they're going to turn into pumpkins and Sam Darnold's not legit. I'm a Sam Darnold fan, hand up, was a Sam Darnold fan last year when he was taking reps in San Francisco. I didn't think they'd be where they are with a chance at the number 1 seed, but this team is legit, okay? And they've proven that they're one of the best teams in the league, easy. You can make an argument that the best team in the NFC. I'm not here to make that argument. It's going to play out. What's the point of a fucking another talking head telling you who the best team in the NFC? That's about to get sorted out. But this team right now is playing damn good football, and if they get the 1 seed, look out. That's a really tough place to play. You can't communicate up front. That's a challenge anyways when you're playing a B-flow defense. And the quarterback, it's like the later in the down, the more you know you're absolutely going to get torched by this team. And the longer he holds onto the football, where some guys, the longer he holds on to the football, it's going to be a problem. He holds onto the football a little bit longer, and the zones expand, and Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson, attracting eyes and taking coverage off of other people. Sam's done everything and then some this year. I mean, I think we can shed the narrative that he's just a guy or that he's a bust or that he's only a beneficiary of playing in this offense. Guess what? Every quarterback that plays well in a good offense is a beneficiary, who they play around and who coaches them. This guy belongs in a conversation with some of the best quarterbacks in the league for his play this year. I'm not putting him up there with Mahomes yet. I'm not putting him up there with Josh Allen. I'm not putting him up there with Joe Burrow. I'm not.
Are you putting him up there with Jared Goff though, Chris? You could say that Goff also benefits greatly from their
Goff's run
comparison to make there.
Goff's run in his second act is longer. Out of respect, I have to give that to Goff. But what Darnold has done, and walking into a ball game this weekend where they're going to play each other for the whole shebang, I'm not worried about the quarterback for Minnesota. My worry is not the quarterback in Minnesota. I really don't have a lot of worries with this football team right now, which is why when you look at them top to bottom, they're one of the most complete, if not the most complete team in the league. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's impressive about them. They're 9-1 in one-score games, and now the Packers, conversely, laying eggs in big moments. And, I thought this game would be a lot closer, and it was close at the end, but I thought it'd be close to the wire. I was really disappointed with the way the Packers came out and played, and I'll tell you why. Opening drive, good drive going, fumble, stall in the red zone, the very next possession or whatever it was, after they're gifted 15 yards on a Smith penalty. They don't go on 4th and 3. They go on 4th and 2, down 7-3. I got no problem with going. It hits Jaden Reed in the hands. He's their best receiver. He drops the football. 3rd and 1, you get an illegal formation. 3rd and 6, you take a shot to Beau Melton. I know that's your guy, but that's not where I want to go with the football on 3rd and 6 in a game where you're chasing points. So the decision-making by the quarterback, and I think Matt LaFleur is a great coach. I tend to think he's not the problem. And honestly, this is just a team growing up. They're a very young team. The receivers are all young. The quarterback's young. I do think they're building something. But if you list off the things they're doing in the first half of these big games, they find themselves down to the Lions twice. By double digits. They find themselves down in this game, as well as the first Minnesota game.
They're 0-5 against the top 3 teams in the NFC.
And that's tough. It's tough. They did beat the Rams. They could call that a quality win. They shellacked the Cardinals when they were playing better.
The Rams were missing Puka and Cooper during that.
And so here's the thing about the Packers. They have no real quality win, as I would put it right now. And this was a team that needed a quality win going into the playoffs because of confidence. I mean, I really do believe that would have gone a long way for their confidence. Now, they are down Jair, and Watson's absence maybe really mattered, but they manned him up on 3rd down, and it was like Jordan Love could not find the option. Yep. And they made Jaden Reed go away. I don't know if B-Flow's doing like witchcraft back there, what kind of fucking Wicca is going on in the back end. But on 3rd down, it was just a lot more man, and so – just a disappointing game from the Packers and another affirming game for Vikings and Vikings fans who I know y'all have a complex about this. You think the national media has written you off. I think that 6.5 win total is one that is still kind of sticking in your side. But at this point, at least I can speak for everybody in this room, and it's been this way for some time. Your team's got a good chance of anybody to win the whole damn thing. And so in a year where we were talking about in the car ride over here, Nolan, I couldn't tell you who's going to win the Super Bowl right now.
No.
In a week, we're going to sit here and do who's your Super Bowl pick? I have no fucking clue. I have no clue. It's so matchup dependent. These guys have a chance to beat anybody, especially if they're at home. What'd you think, Beau?
I love the Vikings, man. I love that staff. Talking about Darnold quickly, I know that you just gave him some flowers, which I'm sure Vikings fans appreciate. You see the way the team celebrated him after the game.
Oh.
Like, dude, they fucking love that guy, and they should. Like, he's been balling for them, and no one expected it. Going into the season, everyone thought J.J. McCarthy was going to be the guy. He gets hurt. Everyone's giving Sam Darnold shit because he's, been around the block a little bit, didn't play that well in New York. He's a journeyman, blah, blah, blah. Dude, shout out to Sam Darnold, man. Like, he's an unbelievable player. And I think the reason he isn't getting as much love this season is because everyone recognizes how good KOC is.
Yeah.
Like, Chris, think about when we went to Minnesota for camp this summer, how good they were to us. But, like, KOC was so calm and like poised and like this is just a random camp practice, you know what I mean? And I remember walking away from that being so impressed, being like, this is a fucking guy. Like, this is a coach that I would want to play for, just because of the way, he kind of goes about his business, the way he's personable with you, and just like he's just a fucking smart guy too. And then, for them to have the season that they're having is, it's impressive, man. I'm excited about the Vikes. I think if they get home games throughout the playoffs, that'll be huge because it sounded like their stadium was rocking too. Obviously, the big division game against the Packers. So, dude, I'm kind of fully in on the Vikes, man. Like, I love B-Flow's defense. We chopped it up with B-Flow for a while this summer, Chris, and like you see him getting guys like Dan Ginkle, who's playing great. He's producing. Steph Gilmore, kind of at the tail end of his career, is playing well. Like, I don't know, man. They just feel really complete to me, and I hope that they can hang on to this momentum. And I don't know. I feel good about them against the Lions next week.
They've done a really good job. I feel good about them against the Lions as well. Look what they just did to a team that couldn't rush the passer, and that's one of the most disappointing things about that game for me, if you're a Packers fan, is, we said it leading up, making a case for why it could be a close game and why the Packers could win this game is like the guys up front, they could affect this game, and they didn't. And as the down goes on, there's nobody that draws more coverage than Justin Jefferson. Even when he's not traditionally doubled, he's opening voids with eyes. He's affecting like multiple touchdowns yesterday. Naylor touchdown, the late touchdown where Bullard gets caught in quicksand late in the down. That's because of Justin Jefferson. The clearance, everything runs through him. And, he's just the best receiver in the game, period. The catch at the end of the game, look at the way this team closed out the football game. It's just little things like that. A rare KOC mistake at the half, ironically, they didn't actually have to pay for it because of that kind of a bogus call. It was not kind of a bogus call. It was a bogus call. I think it was on Cooper, right?
Yeah. I think
on the field goal block. Now, I don't think there's going to be some Packers fans that say, 28-27, they win this game if that field goal doesn't get a second opportunity to go through the uprights. I don't buy that. I don't really look at that as kind of revisionist history because the game is played differently depending on the score. But you have a point there. That really hurt them. That was a bad call. Having said that, though, the way the Vikings finished the game, they've got the ball, and most everybody watching after the Packers storm back is probably thinking Packers aren't getting the ball back. They haven't forced a punt barely all day, let alone a 3-and-out. They get on P10, they get a first down on a boot, so they're willing to throw the ball early, and it kind of works out in the Packers' favor where they get the 2-minute warning, there's a first down, so you just get a fresh set of downs, 3 timeouts. And what they did with that set of downs, instead of just running the ball into a cloud of dust and trying to just, get a first down, make the other team use their timeouts, they weren't afraid to throw the ball on a crosser to Jefferson on second down. And it was a hell of a catch and a hell of a throw. And then third down, Akers, who really isn't even heavily relied upon. You think about the stars on this team, making a play to take that off the turf. they're probably going to have to make a decision, and there's probably no decision to make on fourth down. You're going to have to punt the ball back to a team that's reeled off all these points. They're nails in these situations. They're 9-1 in one-score games. The quarterback is playing like a legit franchise quarterback, and the problem in this league is people have such confirmation bias of who players are. The way it started is who they are. You know, we were calling this guy a bust. I'm not saying we. I'm saying sports media, fans across the country, Vikings fans a calendar year and a half ago, if you walked up to them on the street and they're the nicest people in the world, I'm sure they would still call Sam Darnold a bust. But look what it's done for him being in this situation, and his talents are more clear to see, and the confidence he has. He actually has he's like a serial killer. He was pressing it late in the game. There were 2 decisions he almost made. There were bad decisions that he probably didn't need to make. But this guy is aggressive. You know, I think some people thought maybe a second chance guy would have to be a game manager. He ain't that. He's definitely not that. He doesn't have that mindset. This is a team that you don't want to have to go play. And so when you look at them playing Detroit this weekend, and of course Detroit's got, you know, the variability of their situation is huge, both these teams. But Detroit, for whom much of the season we were like, it goes through Detroit. Now look at this place. And maybe that's where a lot of the angst is coming from with the Vikings fans being like, what the fuck? We've been right on their tails the whole year, and nobody's talking about us having home field. Well, you got a chance to go get it this weekend. And I think they have more than a 50% chance of doing that. They're catching 2.5 points last night if you're into the gambling, which I think is an interesting play. You know, you could buy to 3, take the Vikings, know that the Lions tonight probably don't have to win that game, except for the fact that there could be a tie with Minnesota week 18. In that scenario, tonight does matter for Detroit. But all in all, you know, I think with Detroit maybe playing guys tonight, short week, the situation defensively, and the way the Vikings look right now, they're peaking at the right time. They really are. I'm impressed with how Sam kind of he played below his standard against Chicago a couple weeks ago. And I think the naysayers would say, "Hey, I'm not so sure." And at that moment a couple weeks ago, I was like, "Man, I'm a little worried." Like that, he's got to play better next week, because you don't want to string these games together going to the playoffs. He picked himself off the floor, and he's played great. You know, last couple weeks he had his big moment in Seattle, and then obviously just torching the Packers, who again are down Jair Alexander, they're down Evan Williams, Quay Walker, who, you know, when it comes to playing in the middle of the field, and he's not great in coverage, but it's still a ledge between him and the backup. So, you know, Packers, I get it, not at full strength, but it's late in the season. Everybody's banged up. You got to play better. You got to execute better, and you didn't. So here we are, set up for that big matchup this weekend after all the smoke clears at night, Sunday night.
Jair said after the game, I don't know if you saw this, but he said if I had played, the score wouldn't have been the same. I would have been grittying all over their team.
He said that?
Yeah.
Well, he is from Charlotte. Hey, did you know? No, I do think the score would have been different, but the way the Packers have played every time they play a good team this year, I still feel like in retrospect, you know, Minnesota probably wins that game. And I thought this would be a trend breaker for them. Eventually, part of it is like when you look at a game, you sometimes fade the hot team. You say eventually they got to play not so great. The Packers eventually got to beat a fucking elite NFC team. Evidently, no, they don't, you know. And I do think, as I said, for Packers fans, there's a lot of hope for your team in the future. I like your coach. I like the quarterback. You're building young wide receivers. Christian Watson's out yesterday. That does matter. Josh Jacobs, total stud. Once a few plays back yesterday, namely the fumble in the first drive. But overall, the Packers are trending in the right direction. You just might not be as ahead of schedule as you thought you'd be going into the playoffs. Not to say they can't win playoff games. You know, when I talk about the Steelers and how I don't take them seriously in the playoffs, and this is a big no offense, what I mean by serious is, can I see this team winning multiple games in the playoffs? I could see the Packers putting it together, but it's got to start now. They haven't done it yet. They're a good football team, but they got to be healthy, and they got to play better than that. So I guess
the Packers kind of remind me of the Chargers a little bit. I was just saying, Chris, But you're talking about how like they're a young team. You feel like they're like very good. And then when you think about the quality of wins that they had, it's just kind of not there. And that's how I feel about the Chargers a little bit. They had a big win over the weekend, but like I feel like there's some similarities there. You know, young, talented quarterback with a good arm, some good young wide receivers, pieces on offense that will be there for the future, and they're really close to kind of being a very threatening team heading in the playoffs, but I just don't see them making a run.
Hey, you
Feel
might have
kinda
got
the same
ball
way about
sack
the Chargers.
sports. Sorry, Beau. I just realized this. Somebody in the chat, little shoot 'em up, said Cowboy Reed got ball sack sports. That was an old clip.
Fuck.
You know, that's okay. It's been happening to the best of us.
He was wearing a big Green Bay Packers.
But he is from Charlotte. Beau, I think you make some good points, man. My question is this, though. Detroit tonight, if you're the Detroit Lions, considering the only way a win matters is if you tie with the Vikings, which I guarantee you doesn't happen. Like, it ain't going to happen. Okay, watch it happen.
Right.
What do you do if you're Detroit?
I don't think, dude, I've been thinking about this all day, and like, I don't think Detroit is the kind of team to like really rest people. Like, maybe that's just me. Maybe that's me as an
Doesn't feel
outsider
that
kind of
way.
thinking it. But it doesn't seem like Dan Campbell is ever like, you know how they used to say, rather say whoa than sick 'em. Like, he's the kind of guy where like he's fucking balls to the wall, man. I think he wants to win every game. Like, he's a former football player. We all know what kind of dude he is. I just don't think that I don't know. Like, my heart tells me that like he's gonna play all of his guys.
I feel
So I don't know, man.
I feel the same way as Beau feel, that I don't think Dan Campbell is that type of guy, but I think that a GM or an owner, like with the situation that they're in, at the very least, they might call down and be like, Dan, do what you want, but Gibbs sits.
Right.
Because we don't have another running back after
Very good
him.
point.
And I can see something where everyone plays and maybe Gibbs plays a little bit, but that's the only scary thing about this team is just the unfortunate luck of injuries that they've had up until this point. It's like if you lose Gibbs right now, it just throws a wrench in everything in that offense, and they cannot afford that right
Well,
now.
they also can't afford the attrition of using Gibbs. They're going to need Gibbs to carry the ball 30 times. You know, when they play Minnesota, or touch the ball 30 times.
So let those backups get some run tonight.
So that's a good point. I think also something that's interesting is last week they signed Teddy Bridgewater, and that might be solely a locker room thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of here's a
game.
Here's a
What a game.
Well, here's a crazy
Throw
scenario.
him in there.
Is he
Straight from the head
available for
coach
tonight?
from the
No, but here's a
the state
scenario.
championship. Put him out the field.
He could be QB2 at some point tonight. It's a curious kind of deal to bring him in. I'm glad. I hope you talk about a guy that if Teddy Bridgewater got a ring the same day the Detroit Lions did, it's like karmic, dude.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen tonight. I would, if I were Dan Campbell, I do think momentum's important. I do think, to your point, Jahmyr Gibbs should be kid glove tonight.
Yeah.
I think that there are things you can do offensively to shorten the game. I think that defensively, the guys need reps.
Yeah.
And
That's the thing too. I was thinking about defensively. Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
But it's like, who do you rest on defense? You're down to like these guys that
You can't.
You've had so many injuries on defense, and you've had so much attrition, like you mentioned. It's like
I tell you
all
what,
your starters are resting anyway. They're in the.
I tell you one
they're in the
thing.
training room.
If
yeah, they are resting.
If it was me and I was like a third string or a bottom of the barrel guy, knowing I'm about to get extra reps, what a fucking time to go out there and put some shit on tape, bro.
On Monday night.
On Monday
My guy,
night,
Pat O'Connor.
like, anytime.
Pat O'Connor. Shout out Pat O'Connor, dude. He's played well
Pat
this year.
O'Connor.
You want that clout? Everyone watching at home, you don't play a lot, but hey, this is a shot. You're going to get out there and play tonight, and it's not like you're playing against scrubs because 49ers going to be giving you the best shot. They don't want to be misery loves company. They don't want to they don't want to just lose out. So
no, I mean, and one thing about the Niners that we know, if you watch the Niners, they can't stop the run. And so, like if you can commit to the run game and you really like your guys up front and you think they can road grade a little bit, you come out, you control the football, you get a lead, and then you take it to the half and you say, hey, in the second half, we're going to try to protect this lead in case of a tie, week 18, but maybe Goff's not playing
But look,
and maybe we're playing the game a little different.
and the crazy thing is, I feel like we're saying all this, but like the proof is in the pudding that they probably are going to play because Vegas hasn't changed shit.
Well, here's what I got on Vegas.
And this is what I did. I bet a bunch of unders on all of the starters for Detroit, Goff, Gibbs, because I'm thinking that maybe they sit, or even if they play a half, if Goff, more power to you if you get over 250 passing yards in a half, and I lose this bet. But
250 and a half. Oh, you think he's going to play a half, and so the number's 250. Let me tell you what I did. Before that game last night, I did a Commanders Lions money line parlay.
Ooh.
And then today I woke up with the line not changing and bet the Niners at +4.
Nice. They give you a cash out yet?
No, there's no cash out. They're not going to cash me out on a two-leg money line parlay. But what I can do is I couldn't think of the word, but Matt was like arbitrage. That's what I'm trying to do tonight. I'm trying to hit both bets.
Both bets. That's nice.
So
it gives you an opportunity to you can't lose money.
Can't lose.
You could possibly win them both.
Pretty fun going into Monday night being like you can't lose.
Real
So
shit.
just a note on the Lions QB situation. The 3 quarterbacks the team lists on their website are Goff, Hooker, and Bridgewater, and then Jake Fromm in the P squad.
Okay.
Maybe we do see Teddy B.
You could see Teddy B.
Mm-hmm. I would love that.
And that also
Save
supports
Teddy B for next week against the Vikings.
But that supports the theory that Goff might not play tonight or might not play a lot.
Yep.
All right, so
those under bets.
So we know the one seed comes down to Sunday night, and the variability for the losing team in the NFC North is they could be the 5 seed, and they could be on the road, which I think hurts Detroit more than it hurts Minnesota, the way they're playing right now on defense. Because I always think home field advantage is good when you're greasing the squeaky wheel. And one of the reasons the Chiefs were able to go on the road last year and win is their defense was dominant, not like good like this year, dominant. And so you think about defending home field, the noise, the way it can help a subpar defense perform better. I think that Detroit could use the home field more. All right, let's talk about the 2 seed, Eagles, NFC's champions. What?
Someone in the chat says Teddy B stinks.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
That's hate.
I don't know.
That's hate.
That is.
Why does Teddy B stink?
It's so funny,
bro. That's a state high school coach champion. Right?
If you are at any point a starting quarterback in the NFL, like no mere mortal. And I know this is like a thing where we all say like that guy sucks. So like, it's like the other day when I saw Ledbetter do a backflip.
Yeah.
The Jacksonville guy that nobody's heard of.
Yeah.
300-pound guy doing a backflip.
It's crazy.
That guy was the biggest freak show in his county.
Yeah.
Like that guy was the biggest freak show in his community by far. That's what the NFL's full of, is like elite athletes.
Yeah.
And at quarterback, I mean, you got to be a god to make the NFL a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to be a quarterback.
Yes.
People don't understand how good you have to be to get cut.
Rant over.
Yes.
Like,
Rant over. I just, it goes without saying, but like, it's like my kids, they watch YouTube now and they watch like guys breaking down or like showing highlights or playing Madden with players. And I'll see this little pencil neck dude be like, that guy's trash on YouTube. And I'm like, bro, you're trash. Like, how are you going to call somebody who's accomplished 30 times more than you trash?
Right.
Yeah. So
300 times more than you.
Right.
Me and Matt spent a lot of time prepping for the show, and one of our biggest things going back and forth, he'll be like, no, this guy sucks, or this guy's trash.
Can't do that.
And I'll be like, bro, like, you have to stop saying that. And he'll be like, nah, but like, he really is. And I'm just like, dude, you just have to stop saying that, because any guy.
It's even more true in the NBA.
Yeah, Matt's catching strays.
Somebody
right
will
now.
be like, yo, that guy in the NBA sucks. And I'm like, oh.
Just look up all you
I'm
gotta
like,
tell him
dude,
is
he was a
Scalabrine.
god in his hometown.
Just look up the Scalabrine tape. Scalabrine, literally, everyone would say, oh, he sucks. Like, what is he doing? He put out an open call in a newspaper, pull up to play me at the park. Everyone who played him, no one scored a bucket all day.
Now, of course, fans are going to say, well, we're saying is it's all relative. I'm like, well, just don't be mean about it. I mean, because this guy's pretty fucking good to get where he got. And Teddy Bridgewater, of all people, ran over. He's just he's untouchable.
Right.
There's some guys that are untouchable. Teddy B's one of those guys. Okay, the Eagles are number 2 seed. They lock up the NFC East. A Bevel Conway day. You know, just gorgeous. When Sal Palantonio with his shit-eating grin pregame, like it's 61 degrees, it's a beautiful day for football. I was like, oh man, they're gonna roll. He's talked to somebody on the sideline. It's like, we got these motherfuckers, and you know, culminating in was it Sidney Brown going like Jerry Springer in the tunnel. That was beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was
you gotta
great.
love that.
That was great. The whole day was just great for the Eagles. The question is, and this is the first question I want to answer, and we'll talk about the game a little bit, but this is a hot button topic for me because I'm going to get a little animated talking about this, I think. Do you go after the record this week?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Idiots.
Yes.
You're idiots.
Dude, Eric.
Whoa,
that's
No
actually-
offense.
Yeah,
You're being idiots. You're not idiots.
My
You're being
screen is
idiots.
frozen right now.
Yeah.
My screen is frozen, but I'm
It
still,
should be frozen for such a cold take.
I have,
Keep him frozen with this cold ass take.
This is what I would say. I would, which I think he would decline, but I would give enough respect and ask Saquon if he cares about it and if he wants to go. And if he does, let him know you're getting 15 carries in the first half. You get the
15
record.
carries in the first half? Were you going to kill the guy?
Is that killing him?
No,
Is that
it's
too
not in a vacuum. But the point is, one of the things about Saquon that everybody said for years now was like, oh, if he could just stay healthy. He stayed healthy the entire year. He's run for 2,000
so
yards.
reward him for it.
If you want there to be one Super Bowl trophy in the it's right there. If you want that to be the only fucking one, go get his ankle rolled up this week.
I got you.
Seriously.
No,
That-
you're
that-
absolutely
that-
right. Like, the smart
yep.
move is to not go after the record. And I agree with you. But,
But
I just
I
want
wanna-
to see him get it.
I want to
That's
see
it.
him get it
That's
too.
Yeah.
But
That's all I'm saying.
So can I
hold on. I
think
have a mention I
selfishly?
want to give out.
Okay, go ahead.
Worst seat award is Eric Dickerson. Yeah, look at that frozen ass face. He is 100% a hater. Have
wrong
you
with
seen
you?
the things that Dickerson is saying
What's he saying?
in the media? He's saying like records aren't meant to be broken. I'm absolutely not rooting for him to break my record. Things of that, and it's so funny.
No, it's just
It
good
is.
to see some like honesty because
Yeah,
I got to be
I
honest.
feel him.
Pretty
I
much
can-
everybody
yeah.
has ever had a record doesn't want the record to be broken.
Exactly.
And you could
Agreed.
sit there on the
But then you
sideline
see
and
corny ass
scream-
RG3 like kind of throwing shade at Dickerson, like,
Because
saying, like congrats to
But
Dayton
RG3 is
Daniels
relevant
breaking
right
my-
now. It's like RG3 is relevant right now. Like realistically, for
Is
us,
he though?
like
He was on
is.
Netflix.
Like I mean, he is. Like for us, like unless you're
more
a
relevant than us.
unless you're a real deep football fan, like you're not really thinking about Eric Dickerson like that. And it's just one of those things. If you're him, you got to think about for marketing stuff, any relevancy. NFL is a place
Signing
that
footballs.
all that
It's like the
stuff-
Mark Gastineau thing. He was
Yeah,
so mad about that record.
exactly.
Took
It's
money
just
out of
like-
his pocket.
Yeah, because every year, even if you can make an extra $5 to $10 grand doing signings because you have the rushing title or whatever it is, like NFL is a place or pro sports period.
It's
like,
a bad
you're-
look though, man.
you're-
It's a hater play.
It's not.
You
I
know
think
what?
it-
Every
it's
once in a
not.
while, I'm okay with somebody being honest. Now,
Yeah.
Now, I'll also say this: like, got one more game in general. Okay, so like that matters to me. And the other thing is, Saquon Barkley doesn't have anything to prove. Saquon Barkley is the best back on the planet, and he might be the best offensive football player, regardless of position on the planet. Like he might be. You know, the quarterback.
I think there's a part
what's
of
the
Saquon
delta
who's the
between
best guy
Saquon?
ever
What's
that
the
wants to break the rushing record against his former
this
team, the
frozen
Giants.
face just fucking cutting in on hey frozen face, listen to me and listen to me good. There's the delta between Saquon and the next best running back in the league, and that might be Derrick Henry, is still there's a gap there in my opinion.
Can I take a selfish take?
Yeah, sure.
So if I'm Saquon, you got to think about this. Obviously, I know the bigger goal is Super Bowl, and some people feel like season Super Bowl or bust. That's what I want to get. But for him, I just feel like you go get this record because if the Super Bowl shit doesn't happen, like this is still like a historic and great season, even though the 2000 still is. But breaking that record, having that, I feel like if the season ended up being disappointed, I feel like that would ease the disappointment a little bit down the road.
Oh man, we lost in the first round, but at least we have that rushing rate. And I hear you on that, but that's a telling hedge. if you're thinking that way.
I get
That's
it.
not what we're talking about. Is a very if you are in the football building, and I know the guys have said the offensive line wants to do it. Jason Kelsey was on TV and said, I think they should go for it. I disagree. Hey, I disagree because the number one thing is hoisting that fucking trophy in a month and a half. And that will change everybody's life in that building forever. Yep. When you win a championship, nothing is the same. And the feeling, the confetti falling on you, my D-line coach in St. Louis, we used to struggle as a team. And he'd be like, guys, my one wish for you is to feel that confetti falling. And I got to tell you, it was even better than I thought. And I have chills right now thinking about it. And if it were to be derailed, and it would be, by him getting dinged, and let's say it's a stub toe, I don't want to say anything serious because we're just talking hypotheticals, then it would be the most idiotic thing that a pro franchise in the NFL has done in the past 5 to 10 years, in my opinion, on the field in Week 18. Idiotic. If he gets, and you know, it's not fair to judge based on an arbitrary result like that could be just total chance, but that's the way you're going to be judged. So just be careful if you want to listen to all the fans, and if the owner wants to come downstairs and say, we need this record.
What do you
Jeffrey needs to get out of the way of the team.
What do you say to the old linemen? What if the old linemen are like, because they're like, oh, let's do it, let's do it. What if
Lane, sorry guys, take that resentment and that you're harboring because we didn't let you get the record and run people the fuck over in the playoffs.
Lane did say yesterday, Eric Dickerson is who he is, Saquon is who he is. We just wanted to get to 2,000. We were fine with that.
There you
Better
go.
safe than sorry.
That was all.
Yeah, you know what? You know what that tells us? That tells us. Hey, I'm unfrozen, by the way. What's up, boys?
Yeah, I see you.
Fucking back, son. But no, that quote from Lane tells me that they're not gonna chase the record.
And Adam Schefter came out this morning and said, hey, I would be floored if Saquon played. So it looks like they're going to do the safe thing. I just wanted to check the temperature in this room and see if there were any Joe fans in here. And y'all are Joe fanning it up today.
Now,
don't tempt fate.
Beau the fan wants to watch Saquon break Eric the hater Dickerson's record. Beau the player, if I was in the Eagles locker room, I would say absolutely do not fucking play.
Yeah, right,
That's
right.
the luxury that we have, Chris.
I know, but I'm trying. I
Joes.
can't get out of the player mindset. And also Eric Dickerson, although Eagles fans might hate him right now because he's been framed as a hater, is giving you refreshing honesty. And he was an electric interview on the Green Light podcast a couple years ago. He told incredible stories. I love the guy. And so I don't care that he's being honest and looking like a hater. And quite frankly,
I love it.
That moment where they called a timeout, got him 2,000 yards in front of 70,000 fans in Kelly Green in the middle of a shellacking of the Cowboys was poetry. And yes, it would be nice to bury the knife in Joe Shane's chest next week and twist it and be like, hey, you stupid motherfucker, look at this.
Exactly. Poetic justice, man. That's what we love about football. Like
it'd be
goes
like
around comes around.
It'd be like your oldest son being coached by his stepdad to a national championship, and you have to like go to the games and shit. Seriously, that's what it would be. And it would be great. The Eagle in me is like, and I don't even hate the Giants like Eagles fans hate them. I was only there 2 years, but yeah, boy, would it be nice to rub their face in dog shit like stepbrothers. But I think the smart thing to do, the right brain thing to do in this scenario is to just sit the guy because you're going to need him to carry a load in the playoffs.
And his incentives are not related to getting this rushing record. The only incentives he has left is win the NFC Championship and win the Super Bowl for an extra $500,000.
But these are life incentives if he got that, bro. This is for life.
You know what a life? This is a fucking life incentive, bro.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry, NFL, that I am
it is
displaying my trophy on my podcast, and you're not getting $1 out of this.
It absolutely
because you don't have enough money.
But how many did Eric Dickerson win a Super Bowl?
No.
And that's what I'm saying. Even though he didn't win one, he still is somewhat relevant because he has the rushing title. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to down.
I know. But do you know what else factors into guys from back in the day that makes them rightfully haters sometimes is like they paved the way for our era and didn't get compensated.
They didn't get paid.
Exactly. No, my dad was one of the best players in the NFL on defense.
Yeah.
And when he retired, he still had to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just was a different time. And so for guys like that, Saquon's not. I don't see Saquon as a guy 30 years from now is like, that was my rushing record. Like, he's going to be sitting somewhere playing golf in good health,
I feel
enjoying his family, God willing, and hopefully he'll have a Super Bowl ring.
So you wouldn't go for that half sack, or this?
I'm not
more
Saquon
like,
Barkley. And
no.
You know what I mean? It's
I hear
different
you.
for a defensive end than the centerpiece for the entire.
Okay.
I got.
Hey, if
my
it was
opinion.
2018, 2019, Chris would be playing every snap of this Eagles game anyway.
No question, bro. No question. Me and Beau were out there in the 0-degree weather, tackling Zeke Elliott.
Took on 30 double teams that game. That's when we went to the New Year's Eve party. I was fucking seeing.
And I love playing football.
All the
So
lights were extra bright.
Yeah, it was
for
crazy.
New Year's Eve.
Hey, here's
We
another
talk
thing.
about this actual game though.
Yeah, here's the
Second,
thing.
like,
The Eagles were just showing off. They were like, hey, we got this backup quarterback with broken ribs, who, by the way, Kenny Pickett, hats off to him. I didn't think he's the reason they lost last week. I think there were a lot of people that wanted to blame him for the loss. He's got broken ribs. We've all played with broken ribs. Broken ribs are no walk in the park.
sucks.
And I've never thrown the ball with broken ribs, but that Micah Parsons hit had to absolutely hurt. He did a good job, man. And to think about a guy who grew up as an Eagles fan, to say, like, you want to talk about a moment that a guy's going to be able to hang on to 30 years from now, no matter what happens in Kenny Pickett's career. You guys know this. Everything we did was for the moments. It's for the money, but it's for the moments too. It's like, you got to feed your family, but at the end of the day, the things that you hold dear are those little moments. It made all the bullshit worth it. It made getting benched in Pittsburgh maybe a little more worth it. It makes like the journey he's been on more worth it. To grow up an Eagles fan, to clinch the division in the Kelly Greens, to beat the dog shit of the Cowboys, to play with broken ribs. He's going to be talking about that for 50 years. Yeah.
To listen to Jerry Jones getting heckled by the Eagles fans at the link.
That was amazing.
Oh, that's a great. Yeah, no, that's a great point. I like the way you put that, Chris. I want to know what your what a career moment was for you. Like,
hitting
what
an
was a good
incentive
one?
against San Francisco in the last game for sacks. I don't know. Like, no, I mean, like the moments, the little moments, like, not the big moments. We're talking about little moments.
No,
right?
I know. I
Like
got
going to London in 2018, I'm 34 years old, having 2 sacks, like, playing well and getting a win in England. Like, that was cool. I remember going back to my hotel and just getting absolutely shit-faced and going to a nightclub with Alshon Jeffrey in London and like
Alshon.
and we're having a blast, man. And like, it's stuff like that, or going to LA and playing the Rams, Carson getting hurt and, making a big play in that game. Like, remembering the locker room, remembering the trip, being together. Beau, you remember that trip.
Yeah,
it's just,
that was a great trip.
There's
Got
just
there for
moments
2
like
weeks.
that you remember. Kenny Pickett's moment is going to be, that's an incredible moment to have. And then Tanner McKee to get in the game and to play the way he did, man, like I see what people were talking about, but it helps to throw at Dallas's number 2 corner to Devontae Smith. That was going to be like easy. And then A.J. Brown's like a mini Megatron. He's a Minitron. He really is
Still
like
pretty damn big, dude.
yeah, but did you see how big Calvin Johnson was next to like DK Metcalf when they met? Like you're still Minitron, but AJ Brown is that one-handed catch he made that didn't count. He's just so dominant. He's just such a bully. It was like Howie Roseman was showing off.
Yeah.
And another shout out I want to give, Tush Push is just an anybody thing. They lose Jason Kelsey, they can still do it. They lose Jalen Hurts, they're doing it Kenny Pickett. They just have the market cornered on the Tush Push. I don't understand.
Because Landon Dickerson's 400 pounds.
Yeah,
Just
he's
mowing dudes over.
In that
I was actually
picture-
pissed about that though. I had to Saquon anytime touchdown in my parlay, and it would have been like $600 if you would have scored it.
Listen, the last thing I want to say is congrats to C.J. Gardner-Johnson. 2 picks in that game. The defense as a whole, taking the football away. They had 5 last week in a losing effort. That is a big indicator to me on how a defense is going to play in the playoffs and how your team's going to play in the playoffs. If you're forcing turnovers, this group is doing it at the right time. CJ got I think a $500,000 incentive because of his picks. He had to get 6 picks.
I love it.
Ended up with 6, right on the nose, and he gets the bag. He's been a really fun player to watch. I really enjoy C.J. Gardner-Johnson, guy I would have liked to play with. So, yeah, this is all
especially
good
for him to
me.
bounce back after getting tossed from the game. You know,
No
last
question.
week. Did you see DeGene in the open field catch him though on that pick six?
Oh yeah.
Watch him
run.
move in space. It's crazy.
It is.
I feel like
crazy.
You mentioned this. I want to. It doesn't make sense.
It's
too white to be that
white.
fast. I don't get it.
I think Turpin was just mad at him for that very fact. Like early in the game when he tackled him, Turpin got up like pissed. Like
what?
Are you serious? Like, what the fuck is?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Beau?
It's not supposed to be like this. I was just gonna say, man, the Kelly Greens. Every time I fucking see them on the TV, they look so good, especially against Dallas. You know, late in the season at the link. So that's, I mean, it's got to be the bevel.
It is the bevel,
right?
bro. It's the bevel.
I mean, the signage in the stadium, the ambiance.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
Yeah. They really lean into it at the link. You know, like they have all the stuff on the exactly what you said.
He doesn't like
I'm
the Kelly Green. Hey, last thing I want to say is Brandon Aubrey would have hit that kick from 72 yards. If I'm the Cowboys this week, you talk about like chasing a record. Cowboys need to go out 3rd and 17 at the 50.
That's such a good idea.
And just kick.
That's such a good idea.
I would kick.
Pull up from minus territory.
Yeah, dude, just like spend the whole day trying to get him the record.
Yeah.
Because you got nothing else to play for. That guy is a fucking machine, dude. That was one of the things that I was most like impressed with in that game on either side. Was that field goal. That it hit the crossbar halfway up. It's a
61 yarder. And
that was good from 70.
Yo, yeah. It was three. It was probably 2/3 of the way up there.
So the question is, are you going to play New York? What do you do with Jalen? My vote, play him early, get him in a rhythm, throw the ball around the yard a little bit, knock the cobwebs off. Sometimes quarterbacks come back from concussions. They start a little slow. You don't want to see a guy start slow in the playoffs. So I'd like to see him play well, yank him.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like, think of it like a 4th preseason game, back in the day, or like, I guess like a 3rd preseason game. Like just get him some reps, make him feel comfy and get him the fuck out of there.
Yeah, that's it. All right. So let's move to
real fast. Who do you think will be remembered more by Eagles fans in 25 years?
What?
Saquon is way more important than Jalen?
What are you trying to do here?
I'm just asking.
Jalen has to be in a rhythm going in the playoffs. That's why he's playing. Saquon doesn't need to get in a rhythm.
Okay.
Saquon's a
Jalen can also protect himself. He can slide. He's one of the more protected football players on the field. If he scrambles, he can slide.
He just got
and he's been
burn the ball.
I understand, but what I'm saying is, are you making the case for sitting Jalen but starting Saquon?
No. Like that they both like. I thought you would be like just everyone sit.
No, you got the quarterback.
The backups haven't shown like that they can kind of do their thing.
It's not about them doing their thing. It's
not about that.
Jalen
It's about making
being
sure
in
they're
rhythm
playing their best ball.
I got you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to me, Saquon sitting, he's not going to forget how to play running back in 2 weeks. Where quarterback, now you're going to be talking about a 3 week layoff. He's already missed the game. He missed half the Commanders game. If you sit him next week, it's 2.5 games. He's out. And then
I wouldn't be surprised if they do sit him though, Chris. Like we don't know his full status.
No, I don't know either. If the concussion protocol deal is still not in his favor, then obviously you sit him. Right. But if he's healthy, you play him. In my opinion,
agreed.
If you don't play him, there's a risk he starts slow in a playoff game. If he plays the Packers, who I think are a threat, as most teams are when you see them in the playoffs. In Brazil, he started slow against that team. They started slow against that team. It was a lot closer than it maybe should have been. You do not want your quarterback trotting out there and hearing the boo birds late in the second quarter because, say Josh Jacobs and the Packers possess the ball or you throw a couple incompletions, you go 3 and out. You've seen how some of these first quarters can look from this team. Can't do that in the playoffs. Cannot do that in the playoffs. Okay, so you've got the 1 and the 2 kind of like not set, but we're talking about it based on the matchup in Detroit Sunday night is going to decide the 1, and then the 2, that's all Phillies. And then, so of course, we had Sunday Night Football, where the Rams are watching, the Bucks are watching. They're pulling for the Commanders, right? Everybody wants the Commanders to win, except for Jimmy Carter. So,
Rip.
Seriously. But I would say worst seat. I'm going to give a worst seat. Kirk Cousins. That shot of him with his helmet on the sideline.
Oh man, we had the
Buckled
same
up.
one. We had the same exact.
Worst seat?
Yeah, but I switched it because I knew someone else was gonna pick that.
Yeah.
It's just how they
We
found.
can share it.
They found.
Let's talk about it right now.
How did the camera person just know to put him on camera after they show Penix throwing a laser pass, nice.
They
pass
probably
to
had
the
a Kirk
sideline,
cam.
and it was just
They had a
like
Kirk cam dedicated the whole game
and
to
the
him.
face, the unenthused face that he had. I immediately to the group chat. I was just like, Kurt, the competitor inside, is just furious.
Dude, here's the thing about getting your position taken in the NFL. Whether it's injury or performance, it is, especially when you're somebody like Kirk Cousins, who obviously is very type A.
Mm-hmm.
And not for like a, when guys are like, I want to play, it's not all about like, hey, it's because it's all about me. It's because you playing is your way to succeed. It's the way to prove yourself. It's the way not to disappoint your teammates, to disappoint your fans, to disappoint yourself. It's not like he's being selfish, but it's very natural to be unhappy when somebody takes your position, even when things are going well.
With your
That
competitor,
is something you have to fight.
Yes,
And it's very hard to do that.
so hard. Like when you have to be public and you have to be out, it's hard to hold your real emotions back. And then I'm just thinking about if I'm Kurt, and even if they're saying, hey, bro, like you're throwing too many picks, started the game, the guy you have starting over me throws an interception to start the game. So it's just like him being on the sideline, being like, see, like, look, he threw one.
Yeah.
But it's just.
But that was a miscommunication anyways.
But like whatever.
It wasn't even on the quarterback necessarily.
But still, every pick that Kirk threw maybe wasn't on him.
No, I know, but
I'm
he just
saying
threw
in the
about
moment.
40 of them.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Dude.
But in the moment, you're like,
it doesn't make you feel better.
And then you're like huddling around the receiver and Penix, and you're like, I don't know, man. I don't think he could have broke that off much more. I think maybe Penix. No, I forgot to give one more mention from the Eagles game before we move on to this game.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. The
Answer the question.
Oh, my soundboard just went off. Listen, the guy who caught the damn Tanner McKee.
Oh my God.
AJ Brown ripped that ball into the stands.
Yeah,
like
he did.
ripped it into the stands.
Yeah, he chucked that.
Impressive arm.
Patrick Driscoll is his name.
This
Is
guy
the kid's
Patrick
name.
Driscoll is
Patty D.
a guy from Delco or something, or Philly. But he just,
Father Judge for the fans in the chat, Philly folks.
dude, he freaking made off like a bandit. He caught a Tanner McKee touchdown pass.
Yeah.
Yup.
Which is cool. But he still caught it. Like, he still got the memory of catching the pass.
And then got to trade up.
In baseball, you catch a home run, they trick dick you.
Yeah, they do.
Big Dom and AJ we're gonna give you a signed game worn AJ Brown jersey.
Fire.
Guy made off like a bandit.
Playoff division clinching jersey.
That was amazing.
Kelly Green.
I love that video of him too, though.
For you Eagles
Yeah, that would have
fans,
been amazing.
You guys love the Kelly Green. It's like, what better jersey can you get signed for game worn? So
No, you
more
can't.
power to
He's like,
him.
I got you. Look at the determination in his eyes.
I got you,
This
bro.
guy would die. This guy would fucking die.
That guy's
for the
so
Birds.
Philly.
I
Like,
got
yeah.
you.
He's
I got
flexing.
you.
He's
I got
flexing. Yeah, he's like part of the team. So that's awesome. Now to Sunday night. We talked about Kirk Cousins shot with his helmet on. Hey, worst flight. Not the Falcons. It's Raheem Morris sitting up in first class holding his timeouts.
Oh my God.
He's just
Nice.
you got to check those timeouts, or can you carry them on?
Oh,
Do you have to put those on the conveyor belt? That was some of the worst clock management, and it's kind of the same thing the Bears got in trouble for, was like not having a plan in that situation.
Defensive head coaches, man, they just don't know how to use those timeouts at the end of games. It's crazy.
And the thing is, like, the games, Penix played so well, undeniably in spots, and he's looked so promising over 2 weeks that I can't speak for Falcons fans who had no expectation of making noise probably through 3 weeks ago, but it kind of softens the blow of all this because you kind of got a guy. You're like, I got a guy, who's got big hands, evidently.
All they want to talk
Can
about.
throw in the cold.
Seriously.
And he does look good. And he looks like an adult, right? And, I think it might soften the blow of your coach kind of fumbling the bag there at the end of the game because you could have used a couple more yards. And not just that, the decision, you asked me, Nolan, you were like, what are the chances of a Hail Mary relative to that kick? Because when the kick left his foot, I was like, oh, damn, that's going in. And then it died 10, 12 yards short of the goalpost.
Yeah, it's like, how do you not know the guy's range? I mean,
the announcers knew the guy's range. They were like, this guy had a brutal pregame.
He struggled mightily and
Which
is awesome.
So Atlanta, in a very Atlanta way, finds a way not to win this game. But early penalties for Washington. You talk about a team with aspirations right now, even though they're still ahead of schedule in a building mode. They can scare people because that quarterback, we've been talking about it all year. If anybody doesn't believe, you better believe now. They overcame 1st and 20 all night. They overcame all types of procedural pre-snap penalties. They could have put it away on the Cosme hold. Ertz was huge, provided the spark out of the half when it felt like nothing was going right. Big explosive touchdown, and then ends it with probably one of the toughest catches of the day in a big moment. Zacchaeus helped in between, minus that drop where I was like, oh man, our guy had a great game. Then he drops the ball on the final possession. They bail him out. But, just having Jaden Daniels in 4th down situations with his legs, it is 4th and 1. They boot him out. They pick up a 4th and 5. His legs, his arm, the whole thing. He's just the total package, and this team is ahead of schedule. Can you imagine? We talked about T. Higgins going to Denver. How fun that would be for you.
Yeah.
Oh,
How about DC Higgins?
Yeah.
I know Eagles fans might not want to hear this.
Woo.
But can you imagine? I mean, if they can add one more receiver to this group,
They need more.
Yeah.
and continue. I know
Terry's not cutting it for me.
Terry's not cutting it for you. I'm not hearing that.
Got locked down a little bit.
I love Terry as a 2. I love Terry as a
AJ
2.
Terrell.
That's fine.
Like, I love him as like an amazing 2.
They're
But, like-
similar.
but,
They're
like-
they're
but, like,
similar players.
But relying on him, or like if that's like your go-to guy in the clutch, I don't
know about that. I do agree that he's not an elite one.
Yeah. No.
But you can get by if you have, I want to put this the right way, a low end 1, which is still an amazing player.
No, absolutely.
And like a high end 2, you can get by that way.
It's like a 1B. Yeah.
Because if you brought in
really
Higgins,
good, man.
then you've got 2 guys who are like ones.
Yeah.
And you
then
could argue.
Terrell has to make a
Higgins is
decision.
nice.
And
'Cause
then you've got to make a
yesterday
decision.
He was all over McLaurin. McLaurin had 1 on 7 targets for 5 yards.
But Terrell's kind of thought of as the same guy, where he's like, he's a number 1 corner. He's earned that right. But he's not like an elite corner. And, in a situation like that, you'd like to have you'd like to win that matchup. But the bottom line is, this game
It's
late.
nice. I
What?
mean, I'm just saying it's nice when you have your number 1 receiver get locked down by the defense's number 1 corner, and you can still distribute the ball to guys like
Exactly.
Zacchaeus, things like that. And that's a vet move from a young quarterback.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, not
and dude, Jaden Daniels is so fucking smooth on the move. Like,
He's so
JD
spindly.
smooth.
127 on.
Did you see that one where he ran around Grady Jarrett in the backfield
Yes.
and then hit a little pop, and then just kind of slowly stepped out of bounds? It was like, God, that was sick.
He's
Like,
very
he is
smart in
good.
picking his spots,
Mm-hmm.
just like he is in the pass game. He takes care of the football. They got something in this guy, but the game late, it was pretty interesting to watch. It turned into a Michael Davis show in a bad way. I don't know if you could have been any person in the maybe you call it a city, district of Washington D.C. There's nobody I would have rather. I mean, I'd have rather been in a holding cell for the night than be Michael Davis at that moment late in the game. They were just trying to They were trying to ruin his career. And it felt like on those final drives that they just couldn't get away from these guys in the explosives and Drake London, but they find a way to hold on. Now, the Falcons overcame. This is pretty damn amazing. This Falcons drive where it culminated in a touchdown to Pitts, who, by the way, good for Pitts.
Good for
because the Pitts hate is getting a little out of control.
It's crazy.
Nolan was talking about this yesterday.
It is.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, guy's a rookie, goes for 1,000 yards, has an injury, the quarterback situation there, and he's getting flamed.
He's
on
getting
the
killed.
broadcast.
He's getting
It's
killed.
Crazy.
And you know what that is? That's hate.
That's hate.
That's high pick hate.
Timeout.
Timeout.
Yeah.
And to me, you gotta look at guys with the context of who they're catching the football from. The whole thing. Why do you think Atlanta had to do all this offseason? Because they've been throwing the ball with washed up. It was Desmond Ridder last year. The year before that, it was who?
Marcus
His
Mariota.
rookie years. Marcus Mariota.
A little Heineke in there.
Heineke in there. You're not playing with a full deck. And he hasn't been used correctly at times. They've been trying to force him to be something he's not at times. And so good for him making that catch, really tough contested catch, because a little bit earlier, Chin played through his hands in a big situation. I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. They're going to say, Pitts is this, that. But on this one drive, they overcame a phantom McGarry hold. They went 4th and long. They hit London for 31. The bad snap was like nightmarish, minus 21 yards, and then 4th and 10 to Pitts, all in the same drive.
Yeah.
So I think Penix
That was icy.
showed a lot
Yeah.
of freaking. And when you got Bijan Robinson back there, who some people are like, well, was he worth it? I don't know if he's worth it or not, but he's a damn good back. And the bottom line is he's yours, and I think you can build around this group in the backfield. So it's exciting for Atlanta on a lot of levels, but you like to come out with the game. And you can't have a rando kicker like that in a big spot.
Let me ask you
No,
something.
this is. Go ahead, Nate.
I was going to ask this. I know it's not his job to, but in that situation as a quarterback or someone on the offense, like, why not Penix just take the timeout? If you're thinking about it, just take the time.
Probably because he's a rookie.
I hear it, but why don't more quarterbacks, when we see this situation happen, when we kind of think time management isn't done the right way, if you're a quarterback in that situation and you kind of feel or know the feel hey, this is taking too long, why not you in the moment just burn it? Just burn the timeout.
I mean, yeah, arguably, but because maybe you're listening to your coach.
No,
I don't know.
I hear you. I hear you.
Bottom line is, very Falcons way to lose a game where they're still winners to me because they made the switch. Penix looks good. They have a chance in Week 18 to get in. It's going to take the Bucs losing, which probably isn't going to happen. They're playing New Orleans, but you never know. I mean, the Bucs yesterday looked like a well-oiled machine. But in the future, here's the thing that really helps. Even if you don't make the playoffs, this year in preseason, they did not play Penix a lot. Doesn't seem like they put a lot of emphasis on preseason with him. Next year, if he didn't play now, the first you'd really get a look at him would be during preseason, presumably, if he made the switch. And you don't know what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know what you have, and you got him some real quality work at the end of the season. And that can catapult him. So, very good. I'm going to say this about the Commanders. Fowler deserves a lot of credit for the way he's played this year. I love Dorrance Armstrong. I think he's a good player. Luvu is a stud. Wagner's a stud. We talk about the tackles till we're blue in the face. But Fowler is a guy who's resurrected his career. I'll never forget early in his career when him and Ngakoue were rushing together in Jacksonville. He's a high pick. And they both put together some good tape. That London game I told you about, Beau, I took a picture with the two of them because we dapped up after the game. And I remember being in the picture and with these two guys, and they were tiny. I was like, oh, they're not really like DNs, and I think that's created a problem for him where he's a little bit of a tweener. And, with a guy like this, it goes to show that's always in him. A year like this has always been in him. He's got to be with the right coach in the right situation. This has been a very good situation for him, and he's played really well. So
he's got 10.5 sacks. He gets a half sack in Week 18, gets another $250,000.
Good for him, man.
I hope he does.
1.125 million already.
Good for him. I'm happy for him, and obviously Baker was absolutely lit at the end of the game watching this game. And we'll talk about the Bucs in a second, but the Rams were the ones.
We should shout out Zach Ertz too, talking about incentives.
Oh yeah, you hit him.
50,000.
What about the text y'all got?
Yeah, my boy Kyle was listening to the show last week and heard all about the incentives talk and bet Zach Ertz 2+ touchdowns, Zach Ertz 5+ receptions, and a Bijan Robinson touchdown for a huge parlay.
I actually got to mention he's actually giving my game ball to Zach Ertz for that performance, and then within that performance, cashing in on $750K has to feel amazing.
Has to feel good.
Just where he's at. Like, they talked about it after the game, and just where he's at in his career, and like he said, he believes in God and faith and everything, and just for him at the end of your career to get a quarterback like this at the start of his career, it's just something that you don't really get that a lot when you're in a locker room for a long time, or get that perfect parity.
Yeah.
Hey, on my way out, I have possibly one of the greatest or the next great quarterback of our league. I'm getting to play next to him and catch balls where I thought that I was on a team that maybe I was going to be just in a losing locker room for the rest of my career.
Zach's led a charmed life. He really is. Good-looking guy. Played a long time in the league. Great player. Married to one of the best soccer players on the planet. Intelligent. Now he's rich as fuck, and he just lands late in his career with the. I'm not jealous of the guy. It sounds like I am. I love Zach. I'm so happy for a guy, as you put it, to like take the leap of faith, sign in free agency somewhere like that, and for him, for Luvu, for Fowler, for all these guys that are like, I'm going to take a chance with my future, because in the NFL, you don't get to just waste a year. I mean, your career is too short, especially at the end of your career. I remember at the end of my career, like really trying to handpick the places I went, because you don't have a lot of time. And for Zach Ertz to end up doing something like this is another moment you're never going to forget. He's won a Super Bowl, but this is a moment he will not forget.
They're going to have a home game, Washington? Maybe? Possibly?
Zero chance.
Zero chance. Oh, okay.
I guess they could in the NFC Championship if they were the 6 and they played against the 7, but incredibly unlikely.
Okay.
All right, here's the deal. The Rams needed this to happen. This renders their Week 18 game against the Seahawks pretty much.
So they need to win to guarantee themselves the 3 seed. They will be at worst the 4 seed because they have the tiebreaker over Seattle on strength of victory.
So this is why it's pretty much is important, because they could either be a 3 or the 4, as Matt said, and there is a variability of outcomes that, depending on what Sean McVay thinks, will probably tell you how they're going to play this game. And what I think is important about this is they know if they're the 3 seed, they're going to play one of 2 teams. They're going to play either the the Bucks. No,
they play either the Commies or Packers.
Commies or Packers.
Most likely the Commies.
Most likely the Commies. If they end up in the 4th seed, they're going to either have to play Minnesota or Detroit. And so, you kind of look at it and you say, what does McVay do in these situations? In 2017, they were in the exact same situation, basically, clinched in Week 16, and they were locked into the 3 or the 4 seed. McVay didn't seem to care, rested the starters against the Niners, got beat, then lost to the Falcons in the wild card round 26-13. That, of course, was the year that the Falcons did the Falcons lose to – yeah, the Falcons lost to us. So the Rams also in 2000 and a couple years ago, I don't remember which year it was, but they had it was last year. They clinched a playoff berth in Week 17, had a chance to rest their starters against the Niners in Week 18. They were locked into either the 6th or the 7th seed, but McVay didn't seem to care and sat his guys, and so did the Niners, and they secured the 6th seed. And it worked out well for them. But, this year, I think, is with the history, if he plays his guys, you can absolutely tell that he don't want to play Detroit or Minnesota, even though he took Detroit to overtime eons ago.
They beat Minnesota.
But
at home, yeah.
I don't know if you want to tempt fate
The spread seems to suggest that they will rest guys because, like, the Rams are at home and they're
Seattle's-
3-point dogs. to the
Seattle's
Seahawks,
favored.
which doesn't make sense unless Vegas assumes they'll be resting some guys.
Yeah, but I don't know if I read into that too much because, like,
And that line could move for sure.
because McVay is not going to tell anybody what he's going to do last night. That line came out last night.
Right.
Like McVay isn't on the phone with people talking about. He's on the phone with people in the building, and they know what they're going to do. But I think by Wednesday, if you see a line go one way or another, you might have some information out there. But I kind of feel like they might play guys and try to win. I'm not sure. Another thing about their offense is it sucks right now.
True.
Stafford hasn't been great since the Buffalo game, and Kupp doesn't look like he's in sync. And so there's a chance they might say, "Let's get the offense going, try to win this game, and get out of here."
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
If you're McVay, do you send that joke text to Aaron Donald and just see?
Can he come out of retirement at this point?
Teddy just did it, right?
I don't know when the deadline is.
I believe he can before this end of this week.
You up?
Would you at least just try?
I'm sure he has.
Because now that you know we're in the postseason, like, hey, come get some reps, bro. Like,
And if I was
third
Aaron, I would.
hell yeah. What?
But then again, if I was Aaron, I'd play football until I basically was Jimmy Carter. Because I've always wondered what it's like for football to be so easy.
Oh man.
Seriously, it's unbelievable. But they have shown different ways to win. I mean, winning that way Saturday night when they needed it in an ugly game against Arizona, where Arizona kind of out-physicaled them. They found a way to win. Like, that is, you don't like the circumstance of why these games are close, like the Jets game and that sort of thing. But you do like the fact that your team's winning close games in different ways. I mean, they went toe-to-toe with the Bills, beat them in a game where they scored 86 combined points. They beat the Jets in a slugfest. And then they had to finish the season basically with the Cardinals and got the win there. So in a low,
They got a lot out of their defense, though. I mean, I get what you're saying, Nate, because Aaron Donald's the kind of guy where you can just walk on the field and play. But, like, I got to give a little bit of a mention here to best seat, white D lineman in this week. All right. Braden Fisk had 2 sacks for the Rams. He's playing really good as a rookie. Zach Allen had 3.5 for the Broncos, Cowboy.
He gets a
Pretty
hat
good
trick.
spot.
Hat trick
Hat
hat.
right there on the way.
hat.
On the way.
Hey.
Yeah, no. That's
A lot of other white D linemen, white rushers had sacks, Chris.
I was
Best
waiting
seat,
to hear
white
all the
rushers,
other
white D linemen.
Caucasians. You need name too.
I got a whole list. You want me to read them
No, I
off?
don't. I don't want this show to get put on like a watch list.
Read
know.
them.
It might be too late for that, brother.
Read them.
And then when you say like brother at the end,
Brother, we
Like
got
white the ends, brother.
J.D. Bertrand had a sack versus the Commies. Karlaftis had a sack versus the Steelers. Zach Allen, 3.5. Mentioned that. Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals had half a sack. Braden Fisk had 2. James Lynch for the Titans had a sack. Anthony Nelson, my buddy, had a sack against the Panthers. Spillane for the Raiders had a sack.
White Sack
Cameron
Watch. You're on
Thompson.
it every week.
I'm always watching for white sacks, baby.
Um,
Blake Cashman and Andrew Van Ginkel for the Vikings also had sacks. We
That's
love
right.
white sacks in here, all right?
Okay. Well, here's the deal. The Rams, we've laid that out. The Bucks, we said it. Baker threw 5 touchdowns. He got revenge for having to play scout team DN on the Panthers a couple years ago. And also another thing happened during this Bucks game that I think was very interesting and maybe is deserving a best seat if one is still available. I'm sure I've given out 3 already. But the duck, man.
Oh, my
The duck,
God,
the
don't
lucky
take it.
duck,
Good luck,
dude.
Duck.
That's my bevel.
So let's just talk about it now.
Okay.
No one's gonna care who named it. Let's just talk it out. You know,
Ducky Irvin.
the Buccaneers, bro.
The Duccaneers.
He landed on the field, and then they block a punt
Yes.
for a
The one-
touchdown.
For a touchdown. Honestly, the one thing that could happen where the duck wasn't going to be in danger happened.
What was that?
A block punt.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it had got
yeah.
punted, it would have been a slew of people running down the field.
And just trampled the duck.
Like, probably.
Yeah.
It was really close to the returner. So, like, if that ball had been punted anywhere close to the returner, the duck probably would have been in danger.
Did you see how they
would've
got it
been
off
ducked.
the field?
He would have been ducked.
Yeah, he would have. Do you know
Yeah, a mulleted Florida hero.
Yeah, it was a guy that looked like Lawrence from Office Space. You remember him? Which is just like the most fitting thing is that guy was all the other normal guys were like, I don't want to pick up a duck, and he was like, come here, sweetheart.
Come here. Hey, Peterman, breast exam.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Good poll. I wasn't sure y'all would remember Lawrence from Office Space.
He was on the Drew Carey.
Actually,
Doesn't look at all like Lawrence from Office Space, the real actor.
Yeah.
Did you know that? Look him up. He looks nothing
Cowboy.
like his role in Office Space. Jalen McMillan didn't like the duck.
This is actually our drip king of the week, Chris.
Which is who?
Mr. Duckman.
You giving him drip king?
His name is Anchor Brandt. He's a kind-hearted gentleman responsible for getting the Bucks' good luck duck to safety.
Hey guys,
Actually,
I caught a
USA
duck.
Mullet Championship in 2022. Look at that mustache and mullet combo.
Is that a Tampa thing?
That's gotta be the drip.
Is that a Tampa thing?
Hey
Look at
guys,
this guy. What a
I
handsome fellow.
caught a duck on the field.
I caught a duck.
Caught a duck on the
Got a
field.
duck.
I'm gonna release it naturally on
Into the parking lot of Raymond James
in
Stadium.
the real world. I was just petting it. Now it's a little
His name's
tight,
Anchor, too.
but
Fucking awesome.
go Buccaneers. Go Crew.
That dude's unbelievable. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
The Winfield injury for them is big. If he can get back, and Shaq Barrett just signed with them on topic of bringing, I guess you can bring people back whenever.
Yeah.
Till
Like,
January 8th.
I think it's like an administrative thing. I'm reading that players on the reserve retired list are unable to return after week 12. Like Teddy Bridgewater, he had retired last year, so maybe his contract had expired. Whereas like like his contract might not have expired yet. So it's
because that
like a
happened to me
paperwork
the
thing.
year I retired. I was thinking about coming back and like joining like a playoff team,
Mhm.
and I remember my agent called and was like, "Okay, we passed the day."
right.
You know what I mean? And so I don't know if that's like just a like you put it
Yeah, I guess
clerical thing,
yeah,
depending on how you retire. Or,
Mhm.
but boy, would it be fun to see Aaron Donald come back. But Shaq Barrett, I don't know. Maybe he can still play football. I mean, like I don't see why he couldn't. You know, adding a rusher and getting Winfield back would help this team. I think you know how we feel about the Bucks. I need this NFC South ticket to cash, and I think they could make real noise in the playoffs. Like, you know, as an Eagles fan, that's a team I don't necessarily want to see along the way. You know what I mean? Like they are a cagey group, and Baker deserves a lot of credit for getting this team possibly 2 years in a row into the playoffs. And to look at the way that this offense has looked at times, I mean, they can be scary.
What about Baker and I just seen a picture. Baker and Sam Darnold were
Donald Duck.
They both were backups on the Panthers 2 years ago.
No, it's crazy.
That's so nuts.
It's
Like,
crazy. That's going to be like the picture of the Washington coaches. You know, where they're all like, they were all together.
Yeah.
Same thing with all the Carolina. Who else was in that room?
I don't know,
Because
but
they're probably going to ball out at some point
it's
too.
just Bryce just got to get out of there. Then
Yeah.
that means wherever he lands next, gonna be golden maybe.
No question. Or he might be good. I think he looks so much more confident now.
He does.
Like, it's good for him. You know, Carolina's got some work to do in the offseason.
Damn you for not keeping this game close because you ruined my parlay. They had to take out Mike Evans early, and I needed 125 to cash a nice $600 parlay.
Let's have a moment of silence for your parlay. A lot shorter than Jimmy Carter's, but all right.
PJ Walker also started for the Panthers that year.
Oh, maybe PJ Walker's going to make a comeback at some point. I like PJ Walker. All right, so that's the NFC. We're kind of through that.
Game ball to Baker for me, by the way, boys.
Oh, nice.
Game ball for Baker. Played
Shout out to
great.
Bake.
Love
He
Baker.
deserves it.
He actually got me a fantasy win. 99% certain that I'm going to be the champion of our fantasy.
We need a
league,
big
just so you
game
guys
from
know.
Amon Ra tonight to knock Beau off.
This is all good luck.
Thanks.
This is
I'm
all
I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not
this is
gonna
good
be-
karma. This is good karma for Baker giving me his poker chips in Vegas.
Yep.
Oh,
When was that? Was that the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That was Super
feels
Bowl
like
last year.
6
Yeah.
months
you gave
ago.
him the funny Marco.
So he gave me free poker chips. We were playing poker, and I don't really know how to play poker. I don't play
You guys
poker.
were playing blackjack.
Blackjack, whatever
Play
it was.
blackjack.
But there were poker chips too. You can use them for poker.
Yeah, same thing.
Some people don't play tables, but you know. So, anyways, I'll teach you if you want to know. we were playing blackjack.
I'm safe.
Yeah, I'm safe. That was the same night I didn't hit on like 15 or something. What is it? What was
I forget what it was.
Scott and Steve, Stanford Steve and Scott. Still, I'll get a text from Scott Van Pelt at like 11 at night. I'm safe because I was shit faced and don't know how to play blackjack. So, anyways, I was playing with Baker and Baker gave me like $500 in chips. Mm-hmm. And I was like, bro, I'll pay you back. He's like, you don't need to pay me back. I was like, oh my God, that's my quarterback. And then I walked over and gave him to Funny Marco. I was like, you want these, bro? And he was like, fuck yeah, I want them. And he goes,
You handed him money.
He goes, you look like Max Crosby's uncle. So, shout out to Funny Marco. Shout out to Baker. All right. To tackle the AFC, we'll start Saturday and just move through. I think first off, Saturday, the Chargers winning in the fashion they won, very impressive. I mean, they are definitely playing some of their best ball late in the season. They could have sleptwalk out there. You talk about like a warm weather team going to play somebody sleepy on the East Coast, 1 p.m. It was anything but that. It was like 7-on-7. They were not afraid to just throw the ball around the yard. And it's been interesting to see this offense kind of tick into that identity as the year's gone on. I remember when J.K. Dobbins was running for 10 yards a pop, and they were like, this is going to be like the wing T this year. And they can still do that. They still got that big-ass Matlock, Viking-looking motherfucker, and they got big guys, and they're physical, and Greg Roman. But they are spreading the ball out and throwing it to a bunch of guys that, quite frankly, are not going to be there forever. And the quarterback is, what's he? I saw some stat about he's one of the first quarterbacks to do something in the first 5 years of his career, some yardage or anyways, all he needs to do, he needs to win. He's got a lot of numbers right now. Everybody sees the arm talent. We love the person. He seems like a great guy to play with. I think he's put a lot of debates to bed about his ceiling and who he is. But now they got to win. And I think it would be a lot of fun and good for football as a whole if they got this 5 seed.
And they played the Brothers Bowl.
If they get the 5 seed, you're thinking about the Brothers Bowl. What I'm thinking about is Kansas City, LA. Because if they don't leapfrog Pittsburgh, because they could win this weekend. Saturday night, Pittsburgh loses. Chargers say, okay, we got something to play for. Try to play Week 18, get a win. You're the 5 seed. You leapfrog Pittsburgh. Then, as a football fan, I would just much rather see the winner of L.A. and Houston play Kansas City than the winner of Pittsburgh and Houston. I think I know what that movie looks like. Yep. I'm not sure what the movie looks like when Kansas City plays L.A. We've seen it a bunch of times, but I think from like a standpoint of just being a football fan, it would be fun to see the drama that would ensue in a tight ball game at Arrowhead, because they all are, right? Mm-hmm. The Chiefs have won close all year long. They would have a chance. And, you talk about like pulling the sword from the stone, like nobody's been able to do it in that division. The Chargers have flirted with it. When Justin Herbert came along, we were like, oh, man, some of these high-scoring games they had over the couple years since I was out of league and was watching on TV, it was like, oh, they might catch him at some point. Kansas City just stayed a step ahead. And I think it'd be a fun matchup to see in the divisional round if we got there. So now one thing that they've got to pay attention to is Elijah Molden broke his fibula in the third quarter of this game. They traded him in the offseason. He's been really good this year. He's had his best year. Alohi Gilman and Marcus Mayer on IR. Alohi Gilman has a better chance of getting back for the playoffs. But without knowing, this is a possible problem for this team. Eddie Jackson was promoted to the active roster last week. And if anybody remembers where Eddie Jackson was earlier this year, it was in Chicago. And it didn't look that good, right? It feels like 5 years ago. But he was there. What was?
I think Eddie.
He was in Baltimore.
No, Eddie was in Baltimore.
Yeah,
Eddie was in Baltimore. That's what confused me.
Yeah,
and he looked, with all due respect, out of gas.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and so if Eddie Jackson is a guy you have to rely upon in the playoffs, I'm a little bit nervous about that. especially in a tilt with like Kansas City or something like that. And so, like this Elijah Molden thing is an issue, and that's the one I keep an eye on. But really good performance from them in a game where they didn't need to win 40-7, but they did. Derwin James is one of the best football players on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is must-see TV. And by the way, if you've been talking about the hip drop tackle all year, there was a perfect example in this game of why the hip drop tackle is the dumbest conversation ever, because Derwin James, textbook hip drop tackle on Drake May in the pocket, but it just didn't count as a hip drop because Drake May got his legs out from under him.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just and they didn't call him this year. It's almost like they were scared out of calling him, and they were hoping that just by making an emphasis, guys would. I don't know if anybody saw that game. I thought it was an interesting thing because it was like, that is, and the intent's there too. It's like, I'm getting this guy down, and I'm pulling him down, I'm dropping my weight. And Drake May, his legs scoot out, so there's no issue. All right, going to later in the
real quick. One big advantage for the Chargers is they play Sunday, whereas the Steelers play Saturday. So they might be in a situation where they have nothing to play for and can rest everybody.
That's it. I mean, and they could rest everybody, but I would love to see them in a situation where they have something to play for.
And I got to mention for the best flight, Chargers, nice long flight after a win, clinching the playoffs, East Coast to West Coast, and it was a Saturday game, so essentially you get back and you have that extra day probably off, or to maybe party or do whatever you want because you have an extra day. So best flight.
Best flight, yeah. I mean, any flight with Jim Harbaugh's got to be a lot of fun. I bet the vibes are good.
Yeah,
seriously, they're all bought in. Like, you can just Jim Harbaugh. A reminder: the reason I think we all knew this would work out. I think they're ahead of schedule, but we knew it would work out. The reason they're ahead of schedule is the quarterback. But the coach has a lot to do with it, too. When he got to the NFC West back in the day, San Francisco was a middling team. I've talked about this on the pod before. It was coming off the Singletary thing. Strike shortened season, lockout shortened. They win 13 games. Do you know how hard that is? To come in, take a team that's average, play like that, make Alex Smith look the way he looked. And I thought Alex Smith was a good player, but he played some of his best ball there. Even as good as the way he played in Kansas City, you could argue. And he turned Cap into a phenom. I know it's not all him. He's not the one running the offense at times, but he gets guys to buy in and and play their asses off. It's kind of a college atmosphere, dude.
But it's the football gods.
No, it's the football gods.
We're here to almost the last week, and my theory, the theory is holding true.
Yeah.
They had that run game in San Francisco too with Frank Gore.
That was huge.
Helping out too.
Now imagine if they can get a run game to be as consistent as it were early in the season and add another receiver or a tight end, they're throwing the ball to Will Dissly. It's just they're not playing with a full deck, and I still take them seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Our MRP was from this game on Friday.
Ooh, yeah.
And
MRP.
We've got to make a selection.
Let's do it.
Moses Marino, David Patton.
The biggest one, though, on there, Beau Allen.
He's not random.
Hey,
he's not random enough.
Patriots legend.
He is a legend.
Played all of 0 snaps.
He's a legend everywhere.
New Bedford.
Good times.
Joe Cardona, Demario Douglas.
I blame your pack. It wasn't your
It was
fault.
Igor
Olshansky,
Olshansky,
whatever it
Danny
was.
Woodhead, James Devlin.
Ooh, Igor Olshansky.
Taekwon Underwood.
Look at him, dude.
Beast.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Igor.
He looks like an Igor.
Igor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Congrats. Who won? Let me see their names so I can shout them out.
Igor.
They're gonna get a hoodie and Zach Willis.
2 weeks in a row for Zach.
Oh, really? No, we can't do that.
No. Actually, it was Jackson
us a
Brown
bunch of
last
free
week.
stuff.
That's hate.
Zach Willis sent us a bunch of free stuff.
I know, but you guys, we're gonna give somebody gear 2 weeks in a row.
No. That's Zach's buddy Jackson was the one who last. Yeah. On me.
Oh,
Yeah.
He has a burner account. His buddy.
His buddy. They were both texting me. Zach won this week.
You're texting with
Good to
these
go back.
people?
Texting you.
Yeah, just to say, oh yeah, Jackson won.
You're making it seem. You make.
It's like insider trading.
Hey, you picked.
No, I'm joking.
Reed.
All right, here's the deal. And Reed's
So Reed's all the
about
counts.
to
Reed's got a
go
rake
off
on this.
because we're about to get into the Saturday evening.
Yeah.
Reed, how you feeling?
Not good. Not good.
Let me start with this with a mention. Worst seat. Me watching a Broncos game with a diehard
Better not be
fan.
about a parlay.
No, with a diehard fan
Worst seat.
like Reed.
Oh,
Reed, I know Reed really likes the Broncos, but watching his emotions go up and down during this game.
dude, his emotions are up and down when the games mean nothing for the Broncos. This is crazy. What was the worst moment for him besides the loss?
Him standing up and mimicking Sean Payton to throw the challenge flag over something I think ended up being
awesome.
not challengeable.
No, it was the
it?
no, it was the fumble. It was T. Higgins' fumble because
Yeah,
he was
4th and
about to
4.
fumble or
Fourth and
3rd
four.
and 4. Yeah,
And I'm screaming at Zach damn Taylor to hurry up
and snap
the ball. That guy, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just sorry because I don't like doing this, but I'm like, come on, this team should be way better than they are. The decisions that get made they overcame themselves to win this game. Like, you don't block the edge guy on the first 4th and 1. Chase drops the ball in the end zone on 3rd and 2. Higgins fumbles on 4th and 4. You had a chance to hurry up and get the snap off. You left Denver too much time. Now, I know the injury timeout was bad luck, right? Because Chase Brown got rolled up on down at the goal line. Correct. You left Denver too much time. You opt for the field goal in overtime, and that was the loudest doink ever. It was just like the worst kick of all time, considering the circumstance and everything that's happened this year. Like, looking at Joe on the sideline, it was like he was in a state of catharsis or something. Like, is that the word? No, catharsis is happy.
No.
Yeah.
It's like where you release things. He was in a catatonic state. The guy, it was like he was frozen. He was like, I just cannot believe that I'm playing for this franchise, that we do these things week after week. But he was just magnificent.
you won the game 3 times.
He was magnificent. And for Bo Nix, 3 instances they take the field down a touchdown, evens it 3 times. I know you're playing against the damn Bengals defense, but part of me is like, yeah, you go toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow. That's a big night for Bo Nix.
When trailing, Nix was 14 of 16, 171 yards, 3 touchdowns.
This was an amazing game. He played really well. The 67-yarder was insane. I mean, that's an incredible throw. 3 times you talk about answering touchdowns. And then the last drive, it wasn't just the circus throws. It's also the throws to Sutton that set up the circus throws. He was on fire. Now, he wants those 2 third downs in overtime back.
Yep.
Those are the balls he missed. And that's part of, like, hey, whether they make the playoffs or not, you're going to look back and say, hey, I'm going to hit those throws in the next chance I get, because Joe's not missing them. And if you want to beat Joe, you have to hit those throws. And you left them enough opportunities. Sean Payton didn't go for 2. I thought for sure he would. If you buy the, hey, a tie didn't make a difference, right? We still get in with a tie. Okay. But the second possession of overtime was kind of like a cardinal sin to me. Now, I know they threw the ball twice, but the first down, it was like a 3 yards and cloud of dust, classic 4-minute mode look. Let's just bury the ball into the A gap, make them use a timeout, whatever it is. In the second play, it's a screen. You don't even have numbers. Beau throws it behind the receiver. And then the third play, he misses the throw. So you end up in 3rd and long. You couldn't end up in 3rd and long. The perfect possession would have been, let's get to 3rd and 3. Let's end up in a situation where we can put the game on the line here, because if we get a first down, then we are starting to milk the clock towards the tie. I did not like that possession.
And that shot on 3rd down, Beau and Troy have been doing that for 2 years in Oregon. It's wild that that he just missed him. That's like the 3rd or 4th time he's missed Troy on a shot like that. Earlier in the season was on the in the end zone. But you're right, he is going to hit it.
I will say this: when he's pressured, he does bail a little bit, and we're not just talking about when there's a free runner and he runs backwards.
Yeah.
He throws off his back foot at times when he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
And I thought they had a really good game plan where they were going to max up when they threw. They were going to get the ball out quick. They were going to run the football. They came out of the half and started pounding the fucking rock.
Yeah.
You know when it changed for Cincy? Mike Hilton started making plays in the backfield. I love Mike Hilton. I know he's not what he once was in coverage, but he's a player that I really respect in the NFL, and he will get his nose dirty. And they started adding him to the run front at a rate late in the game because of the runs and getting those guys into less advantageous situations. I thought he was a big key for them making the big stops they did. This defense has been rightfully so much maligned, but they ended up making some stops. They played hard. Logan Wilson, and you're not going to get him back, but if you make the playoffs, that's what's going to kill you. The linebacker play, I mean, Pratt had a big pick, but Davis Gaither is running around like me out there. Like if I was teleported on the field, I wouldn't know where to fit. And, Chase Brown's really important to them. His availability, if you get in the playoffs, and I heard there was some good news on that. This guy you could see early in the season, Chase Brown was a big part of what they needed to do. He's a little bit more explosive. Nolan made a comparison to Jaylen Warren, and I think it's a good one. And he's kind of perfect for this offense. But the guy that had the day is T. Higgins, and I will miss if they don't pay him watching Joe and T. Higgins play catch. I will tell people about Joe Burrow and T. Higgins playing catch. When you no longer can see it and T's out somewhere else balling, and he will ball. This connection was amazing to watch.
I say one of my mentions, best seat is T. Higgins, for the simple fact, him and his new agent, he got a new agent, just has to feel amazing to see your client out there just racking up his value when he has to. And then on top of it, to get an endorsement from your current quarterback, Joe, saying basically to the organization, figure it out. Figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Figure it out.
Yeah, get this guy paid.
Get everyone paid. And that was kind of like, I think back, and kind of my hate from the Bengals from the start of the season was that they didn't pay Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
It's just like, bro, he's the best goddamn receiver in the league. It's like, what are you thinking?
The Bengals, man,
But still, it's like,
No,
what
I know.
what are you
I don't
thinking?
know.
And now you're in a bigger predicament right now because you haven't paid him yet, and he had a crazy season. And then now you have T. Higgins, and he's having a crazy season.
No, I mean, listen, the Higgins thing, and here's the thing about him. Mario Addison enjoys a lot. I think Addison's a good player. He enjoys a lot of advantageous. Jordan Addison, Mario Addison. Jordan Addison's a good player, right? Like, he's got a chance to play a long time and be very productive. He already is. He plays with Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson opens things up like nobody else. Jamar Chase is the same kind of receiver. As far as like his quality of receiver, Higgins is a 2, right, on this team.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a possession receiver. He's making a lot of contested catches. So while he might not draw the best corner, if it's a 50-50 ball, it's 75-25.
He's getting it.
And so he's earned his way. Now, I'm not saying other guys that play with number ones haven't, but it's a unique situation where if you're looking at Higgins as the answer for your team next year, he will be.
Yeah.
Because he'll still win those matchups. It doesn't matter who's next to him. He's just a big physical guy, man. Pay that man. That's what Sauce Gardner said on his Instagram comments. And then somebody said, tell him to come to the Jets. And then Sauce said, I will not be telling him that.
That is funny.
But I think the interesting thing about this is the Bengals are going to play a primetime road game again Saturday. It's their 5th one this year, if I read that correctly. It's hard for me to believe. Can somebody do the math for me?
Wait, who'd you
The
say?
Bengals.
Yeah.
5? Or did I get Ball Stack Sports?
Not 1.
Let's see.
Not 2. Not
They went to
3,
Baltimore,
not
right?
4.
I think
5.
it's just 2.
It's just 2?
Yeah, 2 Saturday games.
No, I'm talking about primetime games.
We can come back to it and confirm it. We'll confirm it in a second.
This is Joe Rogan's guys. Things pop up on screen. You know, fuck. Type. Here's their schedule. This is something that's like, I mean, it's not explainable. It's not to say like, but if that's true, which is probably not, I got ball sack sports, didn't I?
Well, it just doesn't list the times. We're saying prime
Doesn't
time?
list the time.
Yeah, like that. Sorry.
We're never going to know. But I read that this is their fifth game coming up this year on the road in primetime.
I see 3 of them on there.
If that's
already.
the case, that's tough. Primetime games are tough, period. Not just for that week, but the next week. When you got to go on the road in primetime multiple times in a year, let alone 3, 4, 5 of them.
No, it's correct because they played Monday night at Dallas. That's prime time. They played Monday against Washington prime time, and they played this most recent Saturday in prime time. And then I see one other. They played
Baltimore.
The Giants.
Yeah.
And the Giants. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a low-scoring game. That sucks. Now, I'm not saying that's why they're where they are, but that doesn't help. And then, interesting nugget. This is from Paul Denner Jr. on Twitter.com or X. AFC North Divisional road primetime problem is real. Road teams are 2-13 since 2019. Bengals now put into 5 of the last 8, okay, and haven't been a beneficiary since 2020. They were flexed out of a home Thursday night football game versus Cleveland 2 weeks ago. So they've been playing a lot of these road games, and these AFC North Divisional road primetime games, that's a real trend, 2-13. Now, maybe you throw them out the window this weekend, but Reed, that's a good nugget for you and the Broncos.
Yeah. I think we're 9-point or 8-point favorites against the Chiefs.
That's the biggest. I mean, it's Carson Wentz is like Thanos, man.
Yeah.
He really could fuck up.
Well, he holds
stuff
the fate of 4 teams in his
hands.
He's just like,
he's got the whole wide world.
You mentioned Chase Brown. He had an MRI yesterday, high ankle.
Yeah.
And he's determined to play in their must-win Week 18 game. But going back to the 2-point conversion, you got your quarterback saying, "Give me 2." And before the game, Garrett Bowles had said, "The best way we win this game, keep Joe on the sideline."
Right. And that is a situation. But Joe still goes out. What did he have, 19 seconds or something? Was it less? 13?
Oh, with the game after the kick,
yeah.
It was 8 or whatever.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't gonna get there.
Yeah. So they kneeled.
That was desperation shit. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I've never seen the game. That was the best game arguably the best game of the year.
Top 3.
It's unbelievable.
It was. I mean,
and we had Kevin Harlan.
Yeah, it was, and Bo Nix rolling out of his right, that just chucking it up, the strength and power to get that to the end zone.
I was in the airport, and a huge crowd of people formed around the bar with the TV and started cheering. It was cool.
Yeah,
dude. Let's see.
Going for 2, we should have gone for 2 because if you remember last year we had the Commanders game. We won we got within 2 on the Hail Mary, went for 2, didn't get the PI call. This was going to be good vibes. We were going to get this 2-point conversion.
Hold on a second. Hold on a minute, player. I'm looking at NFL team 2-point conversion percentage 2024. Okay, let's take a look. Buffalo is, it's almost like a typo, but I believe at 100%. Washington 80%. Okay, let's see where the Broncos are. Denver.
Hot.
Denver is 0%.
I'm not sure we've tried one this season, or we
It's
might
got
have
a
missed
small
one.
sample size.
Yeah,
It must be a small sample size, but it might be for a reason. You also have to think about that. Like, that's the thing about analytics and talking about, like, oh, what you do in these situations. Like, let's say Sean Payton has 0 faith in Bo Nix at the 2-3 yard line with one play with the game on the line, and that can be for a number of reasons. It can be personnel related. It can be quarterback related. It can have something to do with the defense you're playing. I'd like to see the sample size there. I'd like to see, are they 0 for 4? Are they 0 for 3? Is this a made-up stat? Mm-hmm. Because if they're not good on 2-point conversions, then in a situation where you can tie and still go to the playoffs, maybe that's the best bet. I'm not going to sit here and say I know what Sean Payton's thinking, but to me the cardinal sin is how you play in overtime. You have multiple opportunities to ice the game. You can't. You give Joe multiple opportunities. And, now you got to beat Carson Wentz and a bunch of backups.
Just run that ball. Run that ball.
Do you
right
think
down the
you could
field.
lose?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like Carson Wentz just goes out and what was it, 2017 he won the or should have won the MVP in 2017. He just goes 2017 mode Carson.
So last thing, Zach Allen, we mentioned it. He's a star, man. I know that he isn't thought of that way, but this year should cement him as he's an interior rusher. Putting up these kind of numbers. That was an incredible year from him. It's still going. That entire front, they play so hard. I remember watching them play the Jets this year and kind of falling in love with that front. They just everything. When you pull at one of their edge defenders, you're gonna be picking your fucking teeth up off the turf. They really do. Every block that they play with physicality.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to watch.
He had 2 called back on penalties too.
Who? The
Zach.
sacks. Yeah,
Zach.
that's crazy.
Yeah, 2 buckets.
That's crazy.
Shout out him.
Shout out to him. All right, so as we mentioned, 2 playoff spots were available going into Saturday. Chargers locked it up early in the day. Late in the day, the Broncos losing has created this sort of AFC Squid Game situation where there were 4 teams vying for 1 spot. Colts, Finns, Broncos, Bengals. Now, as people probably know, but we can lay it out for them, the things that need to happen. For the Colts, they needed to win that game. They didn't. The Dolphins needed to win that game, and they need help in Week 18. They did win that game. The Bengals obviously needed to win that game. They won that game. The Colts, absolutely embarrassing to lose that game. Not only to lose that game, but to lose it in the fashion that you lost it. Drew Lock, 155 passer rating, 5 plays at 30 yards or more. Giants hadn't won in that building since Jesus was a baby. And this is a stat that I was going to have you guys run, but, the show's not on in the evening, so I figured, we'll just talk it over now. It would have taken forever is what I'm trying to say. Fucking 45 points from a team that's vying for the number 1 overall pick. When's the last time that happened in the last month of the season? Mm-hmm. That's embarrassing.
Gotta be never.
It's embarrassing.
Drew Lock's got those incentives, baby. Remember all that discussion about resting him because of his incentives?
Yeah.
Like I was
But
just
he didn't hit-
responsible.
I looked it up. They
He
didn't
looked it up.
actually matter because he didn't play enough
No.
percentage of the season.
But that's embarrassing.
He had one of the best
That's-
EPA games
Yeah.
by a quarterback.
That's
of all
my
time.
STL memorial.
That
was
team,
Drew Lock.
it's a great pick.
But you know what? It's even greater. You know why I like it? Because who says Drew Lock is even going to be there for next year? Or if he is going to be there for next year, what better way to solidify your spot than ruining their pick to get a quarterback?
No, I know. You kind of, yeah.
It's like
Playing
what
40
more?
chess.
I get a win, and then now it's like you guys are out of
Bless you.
contention.
Thank you.
And then you know what's great too is even double whammy for me is maybe you go, and now Travis Hunter might be the number 1 pick, because if he goes to because the Patriots, they don't need a quarterback.
They don't need a quarterback, but this is what's really interesting about this whole thing. There's like 4-3 win teams. Jacksonville,
You got the
Giants.
It's the Pats, it's the Titans, it's the Browns, and the Giants in that order
Jacksonville's
currently.
4 now.
Yep.
Okay, so Browns, Pats, Titans,
They went from the first pick
and
to like the
and Pats. Did I say that?
they-
And Giants.
It's such a big jump from winning.
We
one
have
game.
put this up. Put up Tankathon on the screen, and we talk about this for a second.
It's such a big jump.
But what's crazy is you got Shador Sanders with really icy looking Giants cleats,
And playing terrible.
and that he's saying
in
like,
a loss.
Oh yeah, I know. In a loss.
They played terrible. I think
bad
it's just
loss.
it's so.
Dude, did he wear those in that game?
I think so.
You wore him
Or
I think you
before,
wore 'em
maybe.
after, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Listen, and I'm not. Hey, there's a lot of pressure on that guy. He doesn't seem to be bothered by the pressure, doing things like that.
Mhm.
The Giants, maybe that's where he wants to be, and maybe this is where the whole Eli Manning thing comes in from him and Dion and company, where they're like, hey, he ain't going to, say, Tennessee or Cleveland, God forbid. I think the Pats, as you mentioned, they don't need a quarterback. They are looking to, in my opinion, secure that number 1 pick, because that's a haul of capital that you can get trading out of that thing. Tennessee probably, or Cleveland or New York would love to get in that spot. And so what the Giants did is they cost themselves probably capital, unless there's a strange plot twist where the Giants don't even like Shedeur Sanders the most. Like, that's the thing. Like,
well, there's a running narrative that the Giants, they don't draft black quarterbacks, so they might be happy that they don't even.
Is that a narrative or is that reality?
It might be reality.
It might be. Well, is it or isn't it?
Well, I'm just saying. I don't know if it's for in a sense of just we don't want to do it.
No, but have they never done it?
I got to look that up. But if they haven't,
no, I know, and that might be a thing. I don't know, but it'd be pretty fucking stupid considering all the great black quarterbacks that have come and gone in this league. So I think if they were doing something like that, they should be disbarred from the NFL. They send
GMs
Saquon
listening to what grandsons talking about Madden ratings to pick up guys or not.
Yeah, you don't want Jaden Daniels. You know.
And in 2023, Tyrod Taylor became the first black quarterback to ever win a game for the New York Giants.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Shout out to Tyrod.
Sheesh.
Even though he's a Hokie.
No, listen.
And
I got a question.
No black
We
quarterback
talked
played for them until Geno Smith started in 2017.
What do you think Macon wants to do? He's the Giants fan. You think Macon wants to sit this out until 26? I saw him post last night, 2026 draft class.
Whatever he says is a lie.
I would generally agree with you.
But what quarterback in
something.
2026?
You guys all loved when he
what
beat me in
quarterback?
Madden. You know what happened the other night in Madden?
What?
I finally got him for a game online. I beat him 19-13 with the Eagles, or with the Commanders, and he was the Eagles. Didn't have a choice. Randomized teams. And then I beat him 56-14 with the Chargers, and he was the Rams. Okay? So can we just put this to rest now? There's levels to this shit. All right? That was a very proud moment for me.
Oh, I love getting that text from Chris. Whenever it's a separate text that's out of the group chat, I know it's something that
because he got the one day he got me so mad because he was like sitting in here. He's like, sure. I go, it's different online. He goes, sure it is. I'm like, bro, what? Just wait. All right, just wait. But what does Macon want? Macon wants to wait till 2026. And I think there's probably an argument for that.
better quarterbacks.
But if you're the Giants, I don't know. I haven't looked that far out, but some draft expert could tell me 26 quarterbacks might be better. I don't think this is a great class of quarterbacks. It's not like the one we just had. I think this quarterback class is going to be pretty damn good. Like
the whole class.
to
We
a
got
man.
4 pass catchers at 1,000 yards already.
I think Caleb Williams is going to be good. I'm just telling you, like Jaden Daniels is that guy, right? And Drake May looks like he's got promise. Caleb's got promise.
J.J. McCarthy could be
McCarthy could be good.
Penix.
Penix looked good last night.
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, we just forgot damn Bo Nix.
Bo.
67 yards in the air. He's throwing to Velas Jones.
That was nice.
How do I say his name?
Devon Vele.
Vele.
Vele,
Devon
Marvin
Vele.
Mims. Yeah,
And
Devon,
Mims.
yep.
Mims is catching the ball with the game on the line. No disrespect to these guys, but like it's amazing what him and Jaden Daniels have done.
Yeah, with one of the biggest cap anchors of all time.
Also goes to show you when everybody's handicapping this thing and you get a bunch of people lecturing you when you say Caleb's not going to be the best quarterback in the draft, especially immediately. They're like, well, he's got DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, who we haven't even seen play yet. He's got Cole Kmet. He's got these 2 running backs that, one of them ran for 1,000 yards in Philly. Okay, that could be me. I'm just telling you, it's about the situation. It's not just the players on the field. It's the coordinator. It's the it's the guy too. It's these guys. So when you look at these quarterbacks this next year and you're a Giants fan, you're kind of making a decision between, hey, do we run it back with Drew Lock? Do we bring in a cagey veteran? I don't know if that guy exists this year. Like, I don't know if everybody's going to be in line trying to get Kirk Cousins out of that Atlanta contract or something like that. Like, who's that guy? Is it
Aaron Rodgers?
No, fuck no, dude.
Mac Jones?
No. If somebody tried to give me Mac Jones somewhere, no. But the whole point is, you got a problem on your hands now because if you wanted Shedeur Sanders, which isn't a foregone conclusion, you just played your way out of it. Yeah. And for the Colts, really, they should be the lead of what we're talking about here.
Worst flight.
You've got, for sure.
Worst flight.
You've got a quarterback who's been hurt 3-4 times in 2 years already, hadn't put it together, Shane Steichen was able to launch Jalen Hurts' career. He made Minshew look serviceable. Somehow, the guy he's got, which, you know, has some combination of him, Irsay, and the GM decided he's the guy. We're going to roll the dice on him. And I like taking shots and everything, but he's hitting on 50% of his passes over his career so far. So I don't know who's going to be there next year. Gus Bradley's probably gone. Like, that defense, to show up in a spot like that is atrocious, and I got a lot of respect for Gus, and I like Gus. But, like, whether it's his fault or the players, something's got to change there. GM might be gone. The coach is probably in the damn crosshairs. If you're asking a Colts fan, Colts have low-key – it's almost more fun to root for a team that's perpetually bad, I would imagine, than a team that teases you and is in purgatory constantly. And here's the problem with the Colts. If Irsay's smart, they go MS-DOS. They reset the thing. They just hard reset. But he probably won't. They've been resistant to saying die in Indy for years. Look at the quarterbacks that they've platooned. They've been trying to, like, put the Band-Aid on the Andrew Luck thing. It's like chasing your losses. You know what I mean? Don't do it. Just hit the reset button.
Yes.
You know, find out if Richardson can play next year, sure, but just draft up on defense, fill the holes you got to fill, and, you know, figure it out the year after. Like, don't try to go get some veteran quarterback.
Since Luck, it's been Jacoby, Rivers, Wentz, Ryan, Minshew, and then this
It's
year.
got to be one of the most
You can't-
frustrating fucking organizations to pull for.
You can't do it again.
So, anyways, that's what the draft looks like. The Finns, they got the big win. They got something out of Huntley that, quite frankly, if they got it out of him the first time around, they'd be in the playoffs. I thought he was really good yesterday in a situation where the weather was fucked up. You knew it was going to be a rock fight. He did it without a run game. Like, Cleveland made it really muddy for them. And you get into this game for $6.
Amazing.
That's incredible.
Amazing. I love it.
What a country we live in.
This is the 5th consecutive season that Huntley has played in Week 17 and that he has not started in Week 1 in any of those seasons.
I like Huntley. I think everybody likes Huntley. It's hard not to root for him. And the Finns, man, like, you know, good for them getting this win. They're going to give themselves a chance, Week 18, to beat Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
What
about your boy?
Who looks like he literally checked out. He's literally checked out. He checked himself out of the game.
You guys want to go to Tyrod here?
So the words were like, so for anybody that didn't see, they asked him about, like, the quarterback change, and he was like, yeah, I was standing on the sideline next to fucking Ulbrich. And, you know, I said to him, I said, you go to Tyrod here? It's like the funniest way to.
It was 33-0 and then the screen.
That's 42-0. So, and Tyrod, albeit, you know, in garbage time, did a good job. He might be who you start next week, which, you know, has got to really irk the Bengals fans if you end up in a situation where you need the Dolphins to lose, because I just don't know. The Jets are so bad. Rodgers is a mess.
Yeah.
He's shoving people out of bounds. He's
Not diving on
smirking. The
fumbles.
slow-mo smirk of
getting
the
that
slow-mo of
Worst seat,
so
dude.
good.
Or no, Hollow Man. Aaron Rodgers. Hollow.
Oh, yeah,
Man.
he's
I
mine
don't
too.
understand what the fuck is going on.
I've been
And then
dancing
look,
on the line of
how about
just
this?
insulting him. I'm not going to
Look,
do it, but it's just.
How about the parody of
Because you
him
don't want him
walking-
going after you on Mac.
Listen,
huh?
look, how about the parody?
Bo, you're
the-
such a pussy.
Look, the parody of him walking out. Listen, you see with the boombox, and they're playing "Gangster's Paradise," which to me, "Gangster's Paradise" is a song for a funeral, and it's like for you to be walking out
Yeah.
for a song
Yeah.
that's kind of meant for like a gangster's funeral,
Yeah.
and then you guys go out there and get killed like that is just so funny.
No, I mean, but I just want to say this to Bo's point. The fact that we've had to see him every week talk about the same shit, it's like nails on a chalkboard. And I understand, like, I understand you signed up for that thing a long time ago and you probably didn't see the season going this way, but it's just getting fucking old to hear whatever.
I mean, he helped create this whole situation. He's in hell, and he fucking is in a prison of his own.
Yeah, he's
creation,
got
and he's
staff,
half the
dude.
reason. Yeah, he's half the reason.
You don't
that
even
they're
get it.
fucking-
You don't get it,
No,
do you?
I didn't.
He's
I don't
created
get
his
it.
own prison.
Explain it to me.
He's the front man for for Creed. Scott Stapp.
No,
He
I know
created
Scott Stapp. Are you talking about?
I'm saying Rodgers has
It's a
created his
Creed
own
lyric?
prison. He's crying out to God. God's not answering.
Lyric?
Yeah, no. So the point is, he did create his own prison. He handpicked this situation, and this is what it is. And it's a whole year of this, and it's just like as bad as they are. And this is like, I don't have any interest in them being good, and it's annoying. It's annoying to me to see Garrett Wilson wasted. Like, he's one of my favorite damn wide receivers to watch, and I got to watch him. STL Memorial, Garrett Wilson, for just, like blue collar in it to multiple 1,000-yard seasons to start your career.
You got to watch him hit the over with Tyrod Taylor.
Oh.
That's what you got to watch.
Yeah. But didn't Devontae get his too?
That would be so sweet if him and Tyrod Taylor had just this magical connection.
Oh, yeah.
Rodgers wouldn't give a fuck. He'd just be on the
No.
sideline. He wouldn't look like Kirk Cousins. He'd just be like,
What does Devontae have? Isn't he close, or did he get it? That's going to be great for Aaron Rodgers to have to watch 2 wide receivers get that with him on the bench.
oh my God.
To hit 1,000
But the way they've
without him
gone to
throwing the ball.
Devontae in situations like forcing the ball to him, listen, here's the thing. I don't want to get on my soapbox about Rodgers.
Wait.
What?
And when I did my whole soliloquy about Rodgers, y'all were all pushing.
No, we didn't. No. You're
When I said
you're
when
doing
I
the
said
thing where you
Devontae,
just
when I said Devontae,
Thank you.
but when I was saying the Rodgers thing, you guys all were.
No, we didn't.
There was no agreement. It was just kind of like
Max, I
go ahead,
loved
let
it.
him-
What are you
Max, you're
talking
making
about,
shit
bro?
up. You're
loved
making
it.
shit up.
He told me.
living-
Chris
I
told me
was
after the show
encouraging
he
you.
likes that.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
I never know with you sometimes.
I was
You see me?
encouraging you.
You make faces sometimes in the moment that's just like, oh, like he's going off. Like
He's just
and
making
he
it clear that it's
crazy.
Nate talking.
Well, the thing about our show is, and this is the point, is like, my boy Ryan Clark got up there and eviscerated him.
Yeah.
Where do it's your choice if you want to. Like, what does it gain me to be in the middle of and then having to argue with Rodgers? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? I don't gain anything from that. I totally get why somebody would do it, and a lot of the points are pretty fucking valid. But like when you go on a monologue about your disdain for Aaron Rodgers, I don't have disdain for Aaron Rodgers. I have disdain for like watching the Jets, and he created this mess.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that way, I'm like, yeah, I feel a little disdain for the guy at this point. And hearing the sound bites, he was an amazing quarterback. That's what complicates it. He was so fucking fun to watch.
Oh, good.
He was so fun to watch. He was so fucking good. But this is the worst ending. This is the worst ending to a career.
The Vince McMahon meme. Tell me about Aaron Rodgers before he got to the Jets.
But like, imagine, like, could a guy have a worse finish to such a marvelous career?
His QBR yesterday was 1.2. Sam Darnold in the Ghost game was 1.1.
Oh my God.
So you're right. I think, was it you, Nate, who said that the Ghost hung
there
around?
really might be Ghost in there. And like, guys, like, I don't know.
And I think we need to give a shout out to Woody Johnson, best seat, who a month and a half ago in mid-November said that I want to bench Aaron Rodgers for Tyrod Taylor. He might have been onto something.
Listen, there's a lot of guys whose opinions I don't find to be extremely provocative. I could do that all day.
People going.
It's just the way this thing has and there are fans of this team that I know are just long suffering, and you're just fucking playing with them. You're all playing with them. Woody Johnson's just playing with them. You know what I mean? The Johnson family is just playing with Johnson & Johnson, by the way, just playing with them.
Playing with your Johnson. Stop
No.
playing with your Johnson.
Anyways, save Garrett Wilson. That's all I care about at this point. Save Garrett Wilson.
The Broncos would take him too.
The
From
Jets
McKee.
were fun. When Mark Sanchez was the quarterback, they were fun.
Fun.
When Rex Ryan was the coach, they were fun.
They were making wild cards. They were.
When Fitzy was the quarterback, they were fun.
Is there any higher
that can save the Jets?
That can save the Jets
They're gonna
with
get
Rodgers?
Liam
with
Cohen.
Rodgers.
I bet you they're gonna get Liam Cohen, man. I don't know why, but I have this feeling that they're gonna just swing on.
Do you think that works though? Do you think
No,
there's a coach
Rodgers is
that
not
can
the
come in?
answer, bro.
Okay.
Like not
Rodgers is
there.
not
The
the
damage has been done. I don't
Not
care if
anywhere.
he's still got good throws in his body. You can't
Where
ignore
is
the
he the answer?
toxicity that has manifested in New York. It's just
This is my favorite
And they'll
word
say
that
the
you use,
media
Chris,
created
that I,
this.
that I love.
the media created this.
Toxic-
It's like-
You call people unserious, and I love that. Like I've
It's-
been using that in my daily life. Would you say that Aaron Rodgers is unserious at this stage?
I mean, I find some of the things that, yeah, sure, he's fucking unserious. He's become unserious.
Yes, let's go.
What,
I love that.
Frozen.
it's not like you're prying
Bo.
something out of me with your frozen screen.
Frozen. Bo.
My cold frozen.
Aaron Rodgers here. You talking?
I'm a
shit.
football historian, right? I like to see guys finish their careers the right way.
Does
This
he
is
go
not
on?
the right
Does
way.
he go on McAfee tomorrow?
Oh, I'm sure. And here's the thing. Another reason why I don't do it is I like Pat.
Yeah.
I like Pat.
Hey, here's a
No, but no. Here's the thing. If I start ripping into Rodgers right now, exactly what he said, it becomes you don't like the Pat McAfee show thing, and his screen is blacked out now.
Okay.
The thing about it is like I enjoy the clips I see of that show. I think those guys sitting around, the guy with the cowboy hat, all the guys, the guy Tone Diggs, the guy who imitated Sirianni was great. I think Pat's really talented and doing a great job. I don't want to shit on Pat. Because it's one of those things. I don't want Pat getting caught in the crossfire.
What if Rodgers is just getting ready for life after football and doing a podcast, and maybe he's just putting out all these takes, just leaning it up?
Oh, he's definitely gonna have a podcast.
And so, like now, if he does have a podcast, I mean, you start off probably getting a lot of viewers because it'll be like,
He's
hey,
definitely gonna have a podcast.
he's not playing now, so what the fuck is he going to be
like the
talking
rest
about?
of us douchebags. He's gonna have a podcast. Welcome, Aaron. But here's the other thing. Rodgers was cool when I met him. The couple times I met Rodgers, he was super cool. And so I'm breaking the rule of like, hey, I can go off of how the way he treat,
Yeah.
But when you create, it's the perfect. I'll do it one more time. Social media. You got some friends that have bad social medias,
Oh yeah.
and you're like, that guy sucks on social.
Yeah.
But like you hear that some people like him in personal circles, or the guy. The optimist in me, and that person's disappearing on this topic, thinks that maybe he's misunderstood, but I don't think that's the case anymore.
Okay.
We've talked that's cathartic, talking that out.
There you go.
And I wouldn't be fucking talking about you so much if you weren't on TV every week talking. It's fucking crazy, dude. It's a mess. I hate it. Save Garrett Wilson.
Save Garrett.
He's one of the coolest players in the NFL. Okay, so the Jets,
One-on-one
they're out of
for
it. The
fucking
Bills,
plant.
the Bills got going. They look like the Bills.
Locked into the 2 seed.
Locked into the 2 seed. So, let's look at Week 18.
Real fast, we'll hear from Airbnb.
I thought you were
and
gonna say
Dr.
Aaron
Facts.
Rodgers. We'll hear from Aaron Rodgers.
What's up, Greenlight fans? It's your boy, Dr. Facts, and I want to talk to you about Airbnb. Me and the Greenlight crew, a few years ago, we stayed at Airbnb for the Super Bowl in Arizona, and it was absolutely immaculate. It had a huge cactus in the backyard, had a pool, had enough room for everybody, way better than a hotel. And then recently, just purchased a house with my girl, and we found out that we can be hosts. And your house might be worth more than you think, and you can find out at airbnb.com/host.
All right. Okay. Any ideas on what Rodgers' podcast should be about? What's the concept? It's definitely not going to be football, and I wish more than anything, like if I could wish, I wish he would like you can enjoy other things. You can do your retreats and darkness stuff and still love ball. I wish he would talk ball. I'd like to see him talk ball.
But I want him to talk ball and like.
But he's not going to talk ball.
But I want him to talk shit and talk ball.
He's going to be one
Like,
on.
I want him to like critique quarterbacks like hard, like do that.
I don't know.
Because he was good. Like he you could respect his opinion on stuff.
I want a true crime podcast with Aaron Rodgers.
True crime.
Yeah. Him just going
He just
through.
narrates it.
You know about this?
he might.
have
No,
you
honestly,
Something
it's
totally random.
All right,
Like,
let's move on.
He wants to show off how smart he is. It's gonna be like AI or something.
The reason I got mad at Beau is because he knew if he got me going on this thing, it was just going to be like a 5-7 minutes.
It's like what we used to do with Chris Wilson for the in meetings.
Oh, our D-line coach in Philly. If we didn't want to go over certain things, or we were just like, we just had enough meetings, we would get him going on subjects, and we'd look at the clock, and it'd be like 20 minutes, and he'd just still be going, and we'd be like, it's almost time to go. It's almost
Chris and I would look at each other like we were in the office, be like, all right, it's time.
Yeah,
Jim we would just get him going on shit. So good.
All right, so let's look at Week 18 because I had some reactions to Week 18. All right, Sunday. Well, let's start with Saturday. The Bahamas Bowl at 11 a.m. between Liberty and Buffalo is going to be pretty good, I think. I'm going to definitely bet that game. And then we've got the Browns and Ravens. The Browns are catching 1 million points, and the Ravens, it's like almost a formality. They win the division. Bengals and Steelers at night. You guys know what that means. Cowboy Reed is going to be,
Russ, just help us out, Russ.
Russ.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, look at that.
Well,
look at that. Sean Payton needs help from Russell.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Isn't that?
That is interesting.
Wow.
Look at.
Oh, how the turntables,
bro. What if that's crazy?
There ain't no kissing babies. Kiss these nuts, Sean Payton. That's what I would say if I was Russ. Nah, Russ got to get that win. So
kiss these nuts. All right. So, anyways. Sunday, they did the thing where they stacked a bunch of games at 1 p.m. Panthers at Falcons, Texans at Titans, Giants at Eagles, Jaguars at Colts, Commanders at Cowboys, Bears at Packers, Saints at Bucks, Bills at Patriots. There's a bunch of draft stuff that matters, but there's really one game for the most part that matters, in my opinion. It's Saints at Bucks, right? You got division on the line. Yeah. You win that. You win the South. And the Panthers and the Falcons. Can you imagine you've got the Falcons playing at home against the Panthers. And I know it's probably happened before, but like Mercedes-Benz Dome, a bunch of people rooting for the Aints. They hate the Saints in Atlanta. And that's going to be funny as hell to have to get up, watch the Jumbotron and hate the Saints. It's going to be like 17-3 in the first quarter, and the Bucks are going to be boat racing them. It's just hate the Saints even more. And then you got to finish the game, and you're kind of looking at the scoreboard like, oh, man. That's going to be crazy. And then the 4 p.m.s, obviously, you got Chargers at Raiders, Niners at Cardinals, Chiefs at Broncos, Seahawks at Rams, Dolphins at Jets. My question about Dolphins-Jets is when I looked last night on Monday, there's a 55% chance of snow in New York. Could the snow speed up? You know what I'm saying?
But it's not Tua playing, so
we don't know that.
Oh, true.
They left the door open for it.
They were trying to get Tua to play this past against the Browns.
Who was trying to get him to play?
The Dolphins.
If I was Mike.
From what I heard,
right up to the kickoff, he was saying, like, I think Tua might be able to
They were trying to get him to play, but I just don't think he was quite there. Mm-hmm. I just didn't want people to think it was like a thing where they were like, hey, Tua, could you play?
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah. No.
I think the injury is affecting his ability to throw the football. If you talk about a guy like Tua who has dealt with a lot of critics like me, he has a chance to earn the team's way to the playoffs in a season where he didn't play all the games. If he can go out there and play hurt and lead them to victory, that'd be a really good story for him and for them. I don't take them seriously in the playoffs, obviously, because there's a lot of above 500 teams in the playoffs, if you haven't noticed. Mm-hmm. But I think it would be a really good outcome to their season. Like you're trying to build some confidence in that building, right? Like at different points of the season, I know fans in Miami were probably like, oh, the head coach has got to go. I know there's a lot of fans that are like, the quarterback's the problem. And some of these things could be true, not true, but like if you can get into the playoffs after a season like this, it buys you a little time, a little good grace. I do think there are positive things they did this year. A lot of them in the run game, right? And I think Tua had a really good stretch coming off that concussion. So, I think Weaver did a great job defensively this year. I think he's been one of the best assistant coaches in the league. The way he's shored up that run defense, he's got the guys in the back end to play well. That defense is serious. So they have a chance to beat the Jets. We'll see what the weather is. Carson
Looks
Wentz.
like thunderstorms.
Thunderstorms. No way.
Yep.
Nice.
So you go from snow on Monday to thunderstorm Sunday? What's wrong with my fucking weather app?
It's probably like it's just been too warm.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah, it's 58 degrees
Getting a warm
and
front.
70-80% chance of.
So I use the
Thunderstorm.
weather app on my iPhone. Is that a bad app?
If you are a
Is that why I always get caught in
sports gambler,
thunderstorms?
there are some specific websites for sports gambling weather that I would recommend.
NFL weather.
So rotogrinders.com/weather/NFL has every game.
Okay. Now let me tell you what my app says right now.
Oh, but what about? Did we talk about? How about?
So my app says Sunday is 32 in New York. So you need.
I was looking at the Cleveland game. Sorry.
Roto Grinder. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
No,
Gaslighting me.
New York is not going to be that cold.
Bro, my app says 32 on Sunday. It says 70% chance of snow on Monday. We need to work this shit out, guys. Roto Grinder. Look at this shit. Do you trust this app?
I looked at
Sometimes.
it from last week. My fault. That's on me.
Oh my God, I'm good at the weather.
But do you know what that percentage?
It's because you
means?
spend half your time standing out in the field. You've got guys. You've already implemented your plan. You just haven't told us.
That's
yet.
what I'm
You've got-
saying.
got
You know,
guys.
I got guys. I told you
got
about
guys.
weather theory.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what the percentage means when it's precipitation or whatever on the side?
Yeah, it means a 70% chance of getting snow at some point.
No, it's 70% of that
70%
area,
of the area.
is gonna get snow.
No, 70%
at
of the
time.
area.
So when it's
Yeah.
raining, it's like
And then-
70% of what you see, like on that map, is where it's gonna be.
And then New York being a pretty large area, you know?
the
As far-
stadium, hopefully, but the stadium, you have to look up Jersey.
Jersey.
You do.
There we go.
It's not.
Hold on.
New York.
So where are they in Jersey?
Edge, Meadowlands.
Meadowlands. All right, let's look. Oh, it's 65 in the fucking Meadowlands. All right, hold on a second. Sunday, 31. It's even colder. And 65% chance of snow on Monday. That could, in my experience, let me Lance Stevenson that snowstorm a little bit closer to Sunday. Hey, by the way, Miami in 2019 helped Kansas City when Miami wasn't that good and they were playing the Patriots in the final game of the season, and they beat them right as Kansas City was wrapping up a win versus the Chargers. And it was one of those like dual screen kind of things where Kansas City is freaking out in the stadium. And the Miami fans, they want to be repaid this week. They want Carson Wentz in Kansas City to give them a shot. We'll
I know
see.
who else wants that win to happen so much. Your boy Calais Campbell, who was just in limbo trying to get the hell out of Miami to a playoff team, and then they're like, "Not so fast, my friend."
That was weird to leak that.
We still might make it, so
Yeah.
we're keeping you, buddy, and he might have a chance.
Listen, it's a fun time of year because I think like I always tell this story this time of year, but like 2018, we were playing Washington. We needed like 3 things to happen. I can't remember exactly what, maybe like 2. And we beat Washington. We go in the locker room down in that very dangerous stadium, and we're in the bowels of that thing. Technically, the whole thing is the bowels, but we're in the bowels. And we're watching a little TV. It's like me, Lane, Jason, and Fletcher, and a couple guys, and Howie's in there. And we're watching on a tiny TV. I think it was Minnesota playing Chicago. And we needed one result. And we caught the last 15 minutes of the game. And it's like, those are the moments. You want to talk about moments where you're just like, oh, my God, we're going again. And, you know, we were 4-6 at that point, turned it around, got a chance to slide in the playoffs. And you can tell people, hey, you got no shot of winning, right? Like, you can say, hey, that team, which I've done to some teams. I've been like, oh, they're unserious. I probably would have said that about us in 2018 as a media member. But you couldn't have told the guys in that locker room we didn't have a chance. When we slid in the playoffs, we were like, we can win the fucking thing. And we could have. You know, like we were one of those teams that it's not who you play, it's when you play them. Nick was hot. We really just missed a couple key plays in New Orleans, and otherwise we would have been right back in the NFC Championship. So a lot of these teams, say the Dolphins, I mean, they went through a stretch this year where we were like, hey, they're cooked. Stick a fork in them. Shh. No, I mean, if you've got a chance, you really have a chance. And so all these teams want to get in, and it's a crazy time of year. Let's go through the flyovers and get out of here, eh?
First flyover, we got Raiders Saints.
I got a mention for this flyover, boys.
Pull trig.
I got a STL Memorial. My guy Amir Abdullah, great running back. I know him personally. He's a really cool guy. First time in his 10-year NFL career that he had over 100 yards. So great dude. Want to give him some love, Amir Abdullah.
Congrats, Amir.
Nice.
Dude. 115 yards rushing and 20 carries.
Those guys play really hard, man.
Yeah.
Antonio's doing a great job. It kind of makes me think that he thinks they're going to let him go or something, right? Like, I'm imagining.
I kind of get that feeling too. Yeah, I feel like he's gonna be gone, Chris.
Which sucks. It's just like, it's like the Rich thing. It just calls into question if he ever had a shot. I know Rich was an interim, but he's gotten this team to play their asses off, down a bunch of guys. They don't have Max anymore. As you mentioned, Amir Abdullah playing his ass off at running back. It's not how you drew it all up at the beginning of the season. You've had a bunch of quarterbacks playing that you really didn't, have in the cards to play meaningful snaps. And it just hasn't worked out for him, but they're not quitting. The coach doesn't seem to be interested in tanking, at all. He's pulling a Lovey.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Fuck me, fuck you.
And it's just like one of those things. Stop expecting black coaches just to fucking lose games on purpose. It's hard. It's hard enough to
any coaches really.
No, it's hard enough.
No,
to
but
get
there has been a rash of like 1-year hires. Like the fact they're talking about like some fans are talking about getting rid of Gerard Mayo. Like it's
Mayo,
1 year.
yeah.
It's 1 year, dude.
Yeah.
If they were to fire Gerard Mayo after this year, that looks bad.
Looks bad. And then it's trying to like for any coach, but like especially for black coaches, to try to tell a black coach to tank or to lose games, and there's uncertainty at the end of it. It's a bad play for the coach.
It's really a bad play in general to be tanking.
It absolutely is.
Because
it's illegal.
Well, also the cops over here. Hey, here's the thing. They don't know who the fucking best player in the draft is. No one knows. The guys don't know. Like it's
so
a crapshoot.
It's so much. And
so you can bust your ass.
Being bad, it just ends up being, well, you lost those games. So like it's still on your jacket no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's like I might as well just win. Like I might as well try to win. If we end up losing and it works in the narrative for you guys, then bravo for you. But no, I'm not just going to try to put a product out there.
Also, Antonio Pierce is the last guy, hypothetically, if you were going to be like, hey, like some guy with a bowl cut and a lot of money walks downstairs and is like, we're going to need you to lose the rest of the game. like
no.
I'm Antonio Pierce. Like, I'm a man first, dude. That's like, he is like, I'm a man first personified, bro. Yeah. Like, he's a dog.
Now, if you come down and say you lose these games and you still get,
I got these cheeseburgers, man.
No, I got these I give you 2 more years guaranteed no matter what. So you can reap the benefits of losing these games.
Oh, yeah, but I need that in paper.
That's what I'm saying. If you bring that to me, then there's a different story.
Yeah, don't take your word for it.
I need that on paper.
It's definitely not taking your word for anything.
Yeah, Herschel Gilmore pointed something out in the chat about Amir Abdullah that I think is funny, and it pops into my head every time now. You guys can read. Something about a rumor that Will Compton was talking about. All right, and then the other one is, and you know what? I really liked Foster Moreau's comments after the game. I don't know if anybody saw that. That's a fucking grown up, dude. What a grown up that guy is. He beat cancer, the whole thing. Like he's a stud. I like Foster Moreau. You like Foster Moreau, Beau? You're kind of.
Yeah, I do. I think he's a fucking good player too.
He is.
People don't appreciate him.
He's a good player, man. Shout out to that dude. Also got a great head of hair. The lettuce on that guy, man. That's an all lettuce team, dude. I didn't even realize that. Okay, the next game.
Titans Jaguars.
Ha! Boy, let me tell you about this one.
I won.
I did too a little bit because I had. Well, I'm not gonna bore you, but I had interest in this game, but not much.
It sucked.
Still don't.
Brian Thomas Jr., elite.
He's incredible.
Yeah,
he's incredible.
He's a number one.
Another thing we talked about, like the Giants, Malik Neighbors is going to be Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. Those guys.
An incredible draft offensively, really.
Yes.
People are comparing that Jaden Daniels, Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, and then you've got Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
that's pretty incredible.
LSU.
It's pretty
You could
incredible.
add Joe Alt.
Those are my
and
people
Sewell
down
to
there.
that.
Yeah.
Going down to LSU is one of my favorite things to do. I love LSU. Shout out to walk-ons. You would love walk-ons. Oh, you would love Baton Rouge. We need to go to Baton Rouge next year.
I don't got an LSU sticker on here.
Before we look at tonight any further, thanks to BetMGM for hooking us up.
Yeah, hook us
today.
up. Hook us up. Thanks to BetMGM and all you football fans. I want you to picture something. You bet your favorite player as first touchdown scorer, but he throws a block to send a teammate into the end zone, and you lost your bet, right?
Wrong.
With BetMGM's second chance promotion, you'll get your stake back if your first touchdown scorer scores second. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win. If your stake scores second, if your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. Keep that in mind next time you throw in a first touchdown score bet with BetMGM. Happy hunting. Let's get some arbitrage going tonight.
First touchdown tonight. You want to hear it?
Sure. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on a minute, player.
Hold on a minute.
Tim
player.
Patrick.
No.
Oh,
See, because of all the uncertainty and the talking, I am not going with the Detroit Lions. I am going with Purdy. Purdy's going to be throwing that rock. He has to pay off those Toyotas. And the beneficiary, it's going to be Jawan Jennings.
I love Juwan Jennings.
First
That'd be
touchdown
great.
plus 1,500. Great value.
Plus 1,500?
See?
Oh.
See? See? Great
Yeah, I like
value.
that too.
But
46K at 1,500.
that's a sicko bet for a first touchdown.
Well, BetMGM may owe me some money.
They owe you 690 grand.
Wow.
You guys are sickos, yeah.
Hold on, let me.
Hold on a
yes,
minute,
it is
player.
me. I know you're sorry to see it, but it is me. Oh, verify my phone number. Okay. Look at them trying to. They're trying to keep me out of here. They're trying to keep me out of
They hear you
here.
talking about arbitrage.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
heard my phone heard me say arbitrage.
Okay, oh yeah.
It's not just a Richard Gere movie, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's also what I'm doing tonight to BetMGM.
Yeah.
Get some arbitrage on that ass.
Arbitrage.
You hear me, BetMGM? You never should have hired me.
That's him, BetMGM. I want some wins. I don't need any extra pushback.
Anytime touchdown score. Ooh,
Like,
man.
First
Ooh.
touchdown.
Oh, first touchdown.
Yeah, because you could get
Yeah,
your stake
first.
back in cash. You could get 26,000 back.
Why do you keep trying to make me?
Don't do. He's the splash.
Oh, what about Ricky Pearsall at plus 2,500?
Holy.
All right. All right.
Because this is the spot. This is the spot game for that. Like NFL, it's weird.
Yeah.
When there's storylines and he has that whole shooting.
Exactly, dude.
They can't fucking wait. They can't
And
wait.
he hasn't had his big moment
Bro,
yet this year.
It's like the ball. They'll even look his way.
Ricky Pearsall.
And they'll be telling that story before the ball even hits his hands. So, if there's any conspiracy theorists,
Man, I worked so hard for that Eagles bet, though. You know, I'd hate to just give it back to him.
don't give it back.
Yeah, don't do it.
Okay.
Do it.
If Jawan Jennings
Do it.
scores the first touchdown tonight,
Do it.
you're the devil on my shoulder, huh?
Right?
Do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
the ginger devil.
Devil's got a handlebar mustache. You know
Yeah, he
that.
All right. Well, all right.
thanks
all
for
right.
tuning in today. Back Friday, 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah. 10:30 in the morning.
Happy New Year's, everybody. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Don't get used to that start time. Next year, we're going to be later in the day on Fridays.
I'll see you guys next year.
Oh, that's
guys next
fucking
year.
great joke, Beau. See you later.
Wait, I'll program for that. See you, boys.
Peace.
Take care.